and how we can do a filtering by also using Zustand. Forgiveness can be powerful, even for the unworthy. My wife Faye taught me that. Kratos. God damn it. That was a huge voice for a Kratos. So, you know what? Let's just make a setup. I'm going to open my terminal right here. Let me zoom in a bit and use npm create read at latest. I'm going to choose React.js, but first of all, I will give it the name of like form builder, and I'm going to choose React.js with TypeScript. Let's just go into the form builder and install every single thing inside there. That's done. I'm going to also install Zustand. So let's just write npm in Zustand, so it's going to install that in project. So that's also done. Now let me open that in my VS Code. Next, we will also install Tailwind CSS. So I'm going to click on this getting started, go to the framework and guides, go to the Vite, copy this command and place it right here inside our terminal like so. I'm going to hit enter, so it's going to initialize my Tailwind CSS, and while it's doing that, I'm going to copy this content, go into my Tailwind config file and replace that with this new content. I'm going to also go into my index.css, so let's just go into index.css and replace that with this new one. Finally, I'm going to copy this line of code, go to my app.tsx, remove every single thing from there, and I'm going to be using rfne and replace that with this h1. So now let me open my terminal and use npm run dev, and then I'm going to write my local host right here, and yep, everything is working the way we expect him to work. I'm going to also do a bit of cleanup, so I'll just remove this public folder from there, also the ss folder, app.css, and then I'm going to go into yeah, I guess that's going to be fine. Okay, so now let's just define our store.ts. I'll import my Zustand my create function from the Zustand, and then we are going to be creating our custom hook. So I'll just create a constant with the name of like use form store, and it's going to be equals to the create function, and here we just have to specify our set method and also our arrow function like so. And inside this arrow function, what do you want to do? First of all, we have to define our initial state, so I'll use like form fields, and that's going to be equals to this empty array. So now let me define my interface right here with the name of what do we call it, form, and then fields like so. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to provide my label, and label will be a string, and the type will be a few types. So we can accept the type of text, we can also accept the type of number, we can also accept the type of password, and also the text area and the date, date, and also finally we can also accept the files, okay, like so. And now underneath there, we're going to be also providing the value, and the value will be set to string. Now that's done. Now the next thing that we have to do is that we have to define our interface once again, and the interface name will be form store state, and inside there, first of all, we have to define our form fields, and which will be coming from the form field which we just defined up above, and that's going to be array. Now I'm going to also provide a function which will be a add field, which we are going to be defining in a few seconds. So it's going to take a field as a parameter, and that's going to be equals to this form fields, and now we are going to be returning the void from there. We will also create the remove field function, and it's going to also take the index, and index will be a number, and we have to just return void from there. Now I'll just use like update field, and it's going to also take the index, and index will be a number. It's going to also take the updated field, and the updated field will be a form field which we just defined up above, and we're going to be returning a void from there. Finally, we just have to write our reset form, and that's going to be my arrow function which will only return the void from there. So now our interfaces are totally done, so I'm going to copy the name of there and put there and annotate there right here, just like that. We already specify our state. The next thing that we have to do is that we have to create our add field, and it's going to take a field as a parameter. And now let me just create my function with the state property, and here we have to specify our state like so, and we are going to be returning the form fields from there. And first of all, we have to make a clone of our state form fields which we have defined up above, and then we are going to be adding that new field which we are now taking as a parameter for this function. So that's also done. Next, we have to take care of the remove field. So I'll write like remove field, and here we have to specify our index, and inside there we are going to be using our set method. So it's going to take a state as a parameter, and we are going to be using, let's just write there, and we are going to be using the form fields, and form field will be coming from state.formFields.filter method. We have to provide our underscore, let's just write our underscore, and also we need the index, which means like we don't need the value like the filtered value, but we only need this index right here. Okay, so that's why I'm providing that there. And here we only have to check if our index does not equals to the perimeter of that index, which we are now taking there as a perimeter. So then we just want to remove that specific field. I'll also provide the update field, so it's going to allow us to update our field by providing the index and also the updated field as well. Okay, so it's going to take the set, and here inside this set we're going to be providing our callback function by providing our state as a perimeter, and inside there we are going to be providing first of all our form field. So if you want to get there, we are going to be using state.form fields, and then we are going to be iterating over through all of them by using our map method. Here we have to specify our field and also our index. Okay, then we have to check if our index is triple equals to, which means like equals to our index. So in this situation we are going to be returning our updated field, but if that's not the case, we are going to be only returning our simple field like that. Now underneath this one I'm going to also provide a comma there. Finally we have provided our reset form, and then we have to specify our set function, and from this set function we are going to be only returning our form field, and that's going to be equals to this array. And what am I doing wrong? Yep, here we have to specify this comma, and that's totally done. Finally we have to export that so that we can use that in other file. So I'll use like export default and then use forms stored like that. So yeah, the store is now totally done. Next we have to jump into our component and use them. Okay, so now let's define our form builder. I'm gonna go ahead and create my components folder, and inside there we're going to be defining our form builder.tsx, and let's just use our RAFCE inside there. Go to our app.tsx and register there right here. I'm going to remove that and provide my form builder and import that right here. Let me check this out, and yep, we are getting our form builder, which is looking cool. First thing first, let me go into this component. First of all, we have to import a lot of things from our use form store, and we have to execute there. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be destructuring a lot of things. Like for instance, we're going to be destructuring the form fields, also the add field and remove field, update field, and reset field. Okay, reset form to be precise, not a field. And now underneath there, what do we have to do? We have to define our initial state, const new field, and then set new field, and it's going to be equals to the use state. And now inside there we are going to be providing our label, and which will be set to empty string. We are going to be also providing a type, and the initial value will be set to text. I'm going to also provide the value, and the value will be set to this empty string. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to also define an interface for that, or type, whatever you want to call there, and I'll just give it the name of like new field. And inside there we're going to be defining our label, label, yeah, and then that's going to be equals to a string. We're going to be also providing the type. So you know what, let me go ahead and copy all of their type from here. I'm going to copy this entire line and place it right here, and next we also have to provide our value, and value will be set to string. Okay, so that's totally done, and I'm going to annotate my state by using that new field right here, and I'm going to close that. Next I'm going to go into the UI and start working on my UI. I will place these styling, so you can totally pause the video and provide these styling by yourself. I'm gonna also write h1, and inside there I'll just use like form builder and also provide a classes to this one. And now underneath there we have to create our form, or you know what, not a form, let's just remove there. We have to create a div with a class of flex, and also flex will be set to column. Margin for the bottom will be set to 6 like so, and inside this div we are going to be defining our input field. So I'll write like input with a type of text, and we're going to be providing a name of label today. I'm going to also provide the placeholder, which will say like field label, and also provide the value which will be coming from the new field.label. And when somebody try to type something inside there, we're going to be firing this function, which is a handle field change. And I'm going to save my file right now. So this is how it looks like. I'll also provide a classes to this one, and I'm going to comment this line out for a few seconds. Check this out, and yep, this is how it looks like right here. I know it is looking awful, but we are now getting there. Now underneath this input field, let me just go back. We're going to be defining our select area, so I'll use like select, and we are not going to be providing any names and IDs to them, so let's just remove that from here. And what I want to do is that I want to just provide a name of type, and also the value will be coming from the new field. Let me just write a new field.type, and here we have to write on change when somebody tried to write something inside there. Still we are going to be firing this handle change function once again, and we have to provide that same styling right here to this component as well. So now let me just hit enter, and inside there we are going to be providing a few options. So I'll just write like option, and for the first one I'm going to set that to text, and let me just write a text, and I'm going to duplicate there a few times. So that's going to be for the first one. So now let me just change that to a number, and also change this one to the text in lowercase text area, and this one to the date, and finally this last one to the file. Okay, so I'm gonna just make that as uppercase. So this one will be uppercase N, uppercase T, and uppercase D, and finally uppercase F. Now underneath this select statement, what do you want to do? We just want to create our div with the class of flex, and justify will be set to between, and inside there let's just create our button, and the type will be a button as well. And let's just provide our own click event handler. When somebody clicks on there, we're going to be firing this function, which is a handle add field, and it's gonna say like add field right here. I'm gonna also provide a classes to this one. Save my file. Now underneath this button, what do you want to do? We just want to create yet another button with classes, a lot of classes, but it's gonna say like reset form, or it should be a reset like so. The type will be set to button in this case, and when somebody clicks on there, we are going to be firing like reset form function, and provide a classes to this one. Let's just provide these classes. I'm gonna save my file. So obviously it's gonna give us an error. I'm gonna comment this line out. I'm gonna also comment this line out and comment that line out. Okay, so now if I save my file, I know they're not looking that great, but yeah, we can totally work with that if you wanted to. So we can totally change the styling of that. And by the way, if you are grabbing this code from my GitHub repository, the UI will be completely changed. I am now recording this course and I am in a super hurry, so that's why I don't have a lot of time to provide a cool looking UI. But when you grab this code from my GitHub repository, you will see a lot of cool UIs. So I'll just iterate over through all of the form field and provide my field and also the index inside there. And here, what do you want to do? We just want to render our form field component, which we are going to be creating in a few seconds, and we have to specify the key as a prop, and it's going to take the index. And we also have to provide the field, and it's going to take there as a prop. We're going to be also providing the on update, and when somebody update there, we're going to be firing this handle field update function. And when somebody try to remove there, we're going to be firing this handle field remove function. So now I'm going to save my file, and first of all we have to comment these line out. Now that's looking cool. But first of all, we have to take care of like how we're going to be adding the form, how we're going to be changing the form, and so on and so forth. So now let me just uncomment all of these functions. So I will just uncomment that one, uncomment this handle change function, and also handle add field. That's going to be my first function, and then reset form, and we're going to be taking care of the rest of them in a few seconds. So you know what, let's just define our functions right here. So first thing first, how we are going to be defining our handle add field function, like how we are going to be adding our new field. So to do that, we are going to be firing this handle add field function. It's going to take an arrow function, and inside there we have to use our add field, and here we have to specify our new field, and that new field is coming from this stat. Next, we also have to provide our set new field, and inside there we are going to be providing a label. Come on, let's just write a label, and label will be empty string. We are going to be also providing a type, and type will be set to empty string, or you know what, not an empty string, but we have to specify a text inside there, and also the value will be set to empty string like so. So this is how we are going to be adding our field. And now let's talk about how we are going to be changing our field. Like when somebody try to type something inside that input field, we are going to be firing that function, which is a handle field change, and it's going to be equals to this function. So it's going to take event as a parameter. And also, what do you want to do? We're going to be doing a lot of things, but now let me just annotate there. First of all, we're going to be annotating there by change event, and then we have to explicitly tell it, like we can either use the inside our HTML input element, or we can use the inside our HTML select element, or we can use the HTML text element, text area element to be precise. So that's the first thing that we have to do. Now we are totally able to use that. So what I'm going to do is that from this event target, I'm going to be destructuring a few things. So you know, let's just destructure the name and also the value out of this event. So let's just write our const right here. Let me just write a const, goddammit. And I'm going to just use like set new field, and here inside then we have to specify our previous field, and then we have to make the clone of our previous field, and then we have to just use our name and provide the value which we are now grabbing from this event.target.value. Okay, so that's done. Identifier expected. Oh, here we have to use triple dots like so. Now let me just save my file, This is how we are going to be defining our handle field function. Next, we also have to take care of the handle field update. So I'll just create a function with the name of handle field update, and inside there it's going to take an index as a parameter, and I'm going to just annotate that with a number like so, as a number, and I'm going to provide a comma there. Let's just also write like updated field, and it's going to take a new field which we've already defined up above. Okay, so I'll use like update field, and here we have to specify the index and also the update field right here. Now let me just save my file, and we're going to be passing this function as a prompt to this function like handle field update. Oh, that was handle field update, and I'm giving it the name of, yeah, the name is totally correct. Now let me also take care of the handle field remove. So I'll just use like handle field not change but remove, like so, and it's going to take an index as a parameter, and we have to annotate that with a number. Okay, and I'm going to use like remove field and provide my index inside there, which we are now taking as a parameter. So now let me just save my file, and that's totally done. Now we have to provide there as a value for our component. So I'll just uncomment there. Now let me go ahead and create this form field component inside my component folder. So I'll use like form field.tsx, and let's just use our RAFC inside there and import my form field component right here. Okay, so it's going to take a key, the field, and also these two functions. So now let's just destructure them. I'm going to zoom in a bit, and the first thing that we have to do is that we have to destructure a lot of things like the field, the index, and also the on update function and the on remove function from there. Now let me just save my file. So obviously my TypeScript compiler will freak out, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just place this interface right here, and this interface is huge, like form field interface. So now inside there we are now defining our field, which will have a label, and that's going to be a string. It's going to also have a type, and type can either be a text, number, password, text area, date, or file. We are also providing a value which is now set to string. We are also providing an index which is now set to number, and when somebody try to update there or use that update function, so it's going to take an index as a parameter, and we are now providing a number as a type to there, and then on the updated field it's going to take that same property which you are now defining right here, and finally it's going to just return the void. And when somebody try to remove something, so it's going to take an index as a parameter, and that's going to be a number, and we are going to be returning the void from there. Okay, so now let me just hide there. I'm going to copy the name of there and annotate my component like so. So I'll use like react.fc for the functional component, and here we have to provide our form field props right here. So now if I save my file, so this is how my component looks like. And now let me go into the UI and implement this UI. So I'll just hit enter right here and provide a styling to the first div. Now inside this div we are going to be using our label, and for this label let's just remove our HTML form, and here we are going to be rendering our field dot label. So let's just use our field dot label like so. I'm gonna also provide a classes to this one to style there, and now if I save my file, and obviously we're going to be getting some sort of an error because we have to use all of that stuff and provide this on update and also that functions. Why in the world are we getting these errors? Are we not providing a handle change function? That's why we are getting that error. I'm not quite sure about that. Oh, here you can see this is my mistake. Instead of providing a handle update, not update, but this function, you know what, this handle field change, I'm only providing this handle change. So now let me just replace that, and now if I save my file and test this out, so I can now provide anything I want. I can choose the number and I can add there, so it's going to add there right here. But now let me just take care of the rest of their stuff. So now let's just go into our field component and render all of that stuff. So now underneath this label, I'm going to first of all use my field.type, not file but field, god, FIELD, there we go, field.type. If that is triple equals to the text area, so in that situation we are going to be rendering the text area like so. But if that's not equal to the text area, then we're going to be using like field.type, FIELD, field. Oh my goodness, what the hell is going on with my IDE today? So I'm gonna copy them and place them right here. If that is equals to the file, then we're going to be rendering another UI. Then once again we have to provide another expression, and inside this expression we are going to be providing another UI. So you know what, let me just take care of this first one. If the field.type is equal to text area, so in that situation what do you want to do? We only wanted to return our text area like so, and I'm going to close there. And inside this text area we are going to be providing our value, and value will be coming from the field.value like so. and we are going to be also providing the on change handler, and when somebody try to type something inside there, we're going to be firing this handle change function, which we are going to be creating in a few seconds. Next, we are going to be also providing a UI to there for the styling. And now for this second one, if the field type is equal to the file, so in that situation we are going to be creating our input field, and inside this input field we have to provide the type, and the type will be set to file. And when somebody tried to type something inside, they were going to be firing this handle file change function, which we are going to be creating in a few seconds. And for the UI, I'll just provide a border, and also the border will be set to totally gray of 300, and also totally rounded large. And now for the final one, we're going to be creating an input field with the type of type should be dynamic, so I'll just use like field dot type, field, like so, field dot type. And here we also have to specify the value. I don't know why I'm getting an error, so I'm going to copy that and place it right here. And for the value, we're going to be checking field dot type triple equals to the file. So if that's the case, then we have to just provide empty string. But if that's not the case, so we're going to be just getting the field value like so, and this should be a field. So now let me just place that there. Now outside from there, if somebody types something inside this input field, so we are going to be firing this handle change function once again. And for this UI, we are going to be providing these styling. So now if I save my file, so this is what we are doing. First of all, we are checking the type. If the type is set to text area, we are going to be rendering the text area, and also the content will be coming from the field.value, and we're going to be also attaching this on change event handler. Then if the type is set to file, so we're going to be providing a file as a type. If the type is not the file and also not the text area, then we're going to be grabbing all of that stuff. Let me just show you there. Then we're going to be working with the text, number, password, and date. Okay, now everything is cool, but finally let me just create a button which will allow us to remove all of that stuff. So I'll just use a remove button. It's going to take the type of button, and now outside from there, when somebody clicks on there, we're going to be firing this function, which is the remove, or just god damn it, on remove. There we go. It's going to also take an index as a parameter and provide a classes to it. Okay, so that's totally done. So now let me just take care of these function, like we have a handle file change and we also have a handle change. So let's just go ahead and go to the top, and here we're going to be defining our function. So first of all, we're going to be defining our handle change function. When somebody try to type something inside their input field, so we're just going to take an event as an object, and here we only have to use our on update function. It's going to take an index, and it's going to also first of all make a clone of all of the field, field. There we go. And then we're going to be providing a new value, and the new value will be coming from the event.target.value, and we are only allowed to do them on the react.change event, like so. And we can use that on the HTML input element, or we can use that on the HTML text area element. And now let me just close that. So that's the first function that we have to write. Now for the second function, which is a handle file change, I'm going to create that right here. So const handle file file change, and it's going to be equals to this function once again, and it's going to also take an event as an object. And now here we are going to be updating this. So now let's just use like on update and provide my index to them. And here first of all, we have to make a clone of all of the fields, and then we have to provide a new value to them, and the new value will be coming from the event.target.files in this case, because we are now working with the files. And once again, we have to provide a types for this one, so I'll use like react.change event, and then we are going to be only allowed to use them on the HTML input elements. Now this is going to be the expression. So if we have the event.type.files, so in this situation we are going to be using the array.from, and here we have to specify like event.target.files. But if that's not the case, so we only want to provide the empty string. Okay, so now let's just iterate over through that. So let's just go back, and I'm going to provide a file as a name, and let's just use our file.name. And now from this one, we're going to be getting a join method, and we want to join there by only providing a comma and space. Okay, so that's totally done. And this shouldn't be a recording start, this should be a react. There we go, react start. Now that is looking cool, and everything should be working the way we expect him to work. And I just realized that I made a few mistakes, so let's just go ahead and go to the form component, and here we have to specify our index. So I'll just write like index, come on, index, and that index will be coming from this index, which we are now providing as a function or parameter to the. And also here you can see I'm using a flex twice, so it shouldn't be a flex. I'll just provide a separator or dash to it. Now let me just save this file, and let's just try this out. I'm going to just refresh there, and I'll give it some sort of a name like text input, or my text input would be fine. And I'm gonna only choose the text one. So now let me just click on this add field, and it's gonna add there right here. Now I can totally write whatever I want to write. I can also totally remove there if I wanted to. Now I can also select the number, and I'll write like bank account numbers only or something like that. And now if I hit enter, so it's gonna give us this input, and now we are not allowed to type anything else except numbers. Okay, so we can totally add there. I can also click on the reset form, so it's gonna reset my entire form right here. Okay, so I'll just write a gibberish right here and provide a text area, or change that to some sort of a description area or something. I'm gonna click on this add field, and it's gonna give us this text area right here. I can also add like some sort of date and my birth, or enter your birthday or something like that. Now if I click on this one, so it's gonna give us this field right here where I can choose my birthday or something. Now I can also select this field and provide a custom field, so I can just click on add there, and here you can see it's gonna add there right here. So I can click on this reset form, so it's gonna reset all of the form. So yeah, that was it about for our custom form builder. You can't fight who you are, Katia. You lose. Agent 47, tickets on sale now. Let's just open our terminal and make a setup. I'm gonna zoom in a bit, and the first thing that I want to do is that I want to use like npm create v8 latest, and then the name will be to-do list. I know a lot of people will think, Hussein, like to-do list is just a simple application, but yeah, let me show you how simple it is. So I'm gonna go into the React.js and choose TypeScript, go into the to-do list, and use npm i to install every single thing. That's done. I'm going to use npm i and then Zustand to install Zustand inside this project. That's also done. And now let me open in my VS Code and search for the Tailwind CSS. Go to the getting started and go into the framework and guides. Choose Vite, copy this command, place it right here inside our terminal. It's going to take a bit of time to install Tailwind CSS inside this project. Hit enter on the npx create or npx tailwind css init-p, and now I'm going to copy this content from there, go into my tailwind css and replace it with this new content. Copy this index file, so I'll go into the index.css and replace it with this new one. Okay, and let's just test this out by going into our app.tsx file, remove every single thing from there and replace it with this new h1. I'm going to also remove this public folder, ss folder, app.css folder, and the rest of them will be totally fine. So let's just test this out. I'm going to use npm run dev, or what do we call it, localhost. Yep, it is working the way we expect him to work. Okay, keyboard lover, so let's just create our store.ts file and import create function from the Zustand. Save this file. Now we have to define or use store, and that's going to be equals to the create function, which will take a callback function. We're going to be also providing this arrow function and create our to-dos as our initial value and define our interfaces. So I'll just go ahead and define my interface for the to-do, and inside that provide the id, and id will be set to number, text will be set to string, and also completed will be a boolean flag. Okay, that's also done. I'm going to also define the interface of to-do store, and inside there let's just define our to-dos, which will be equals to their to-do which we just created up above, and also define our add to-do, and then to-do will be coming from this to-do, and now that's going to be equals to this arrow function, and also provide our remove to-do, which will allows us to remove our to-do by using this id. I'll also return the void from there and provide our toggle to-do. Okay, and here we also have to specify the id, and id will be set to a number and return void from there. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to provide my add to do right here. So I'll use like add to do, and here we have to specify our to do inside there, and let's just use our set function. And for this set function we're going to be providing our state, and then inside this state first of all we have to grab our to do's and make the clone of our existing to do's by using state.to-dos, and then I'm going to provide a comma here, add this new to do which we are now taking as a parameter. Okay, that's also done. Now underneath this add to do we are going to be also defining our remove to do function, which will take id as a parameter, and also let's just use our set method and provide our to there, and use our to do. First of all, let's just provide this syntax, and then we have to use our to do's. Grab our to do's by using state.todos.filter, and once again we are going to be using the filter method to provide our id to this. So I'll just use like to do, and here we just have to use to do.id. if that to do.id does not equal to that id which you are now taking as a parameter for this function, that function will only remove that specific to do. Next, we also have to just toggle our to do. So I'll use like toggle to do and provide my id to them, and now we have to use our function. Okay, so inside this function we have to use our set method and provide my state to them. And now what do you want to do? We just want to get our to do's, like our entire to do's, and you want to get there by using state.todos and iterate over through all of them. So I'll provide my to do as a parameter, and let's just use if our to do.id is triple equals to that specific id. Then we just want to make first of all the clone of our to do, and we have to provide our completed flag to it. Okay, so completed flag will be equals to not to do, which means like not to do that complete, which means like, let me just what the hell am I saying today? Okay, so I'm going to explain this code in a few seconds, but now we have to just provide the else clause, and for the else clause let me just provide it to do. Okay, there's a lot of gibberish, so now let me just cut that from here. We don't need to provide all of that nonsense, so let's just remove that and also remove these ones, and then we have to provide this expression once again. Now if I save that, so this is how it looks like right here, and we also have to annotate this so that we can remove all of that errors. So I'll use like to do store and annotate that with this new one. So this is how it looks like. Let me just say that here you can see we're now providing a set method which will take an arrow function, and here we are also taking our state. First of all, we are just mapping over through all of our to do's, and then we are checking if our to do.id is equal to that id which we are now taking as a parameter for this function. So in that situation we are going to be first of all making a list or a clone of our existing to do, and we have to provide this completed flag to it. Like, we are not interested in any of the to do, we are only interested in this specific completed flag. So if that statement is true, we are going to be converting that to false, but if that statement is set to false, we are going to be converting that to true. If that is not the case, then we are going to be only returning our to do. That's it. Okay, so finally we have to export this so that we can use that inside our file, and I'm going to export that by using default. So let's just use our export default and then use store like so. So our stored content is now completely done. Time to use this store inside our component. So I'll create a file with the name of components and then to do list.tsx. Use my RAFC inside there, go to my app and remove this h1 and render my to-do list component right here. So the first thing that I want to do is that I want to grab every single thing from my store. So let's just zoom in a bit and let's just use store right here. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just grab a few things from my store. I'll change that to const and use my to-dos and then add to-do and also remove to-do, toggle to-do. We only want to grab all of them. Now underneath we are going to be also defining our set for our input. So I'll use like input or input value rather, and then set input value in value, and it's going to be equals to this use state function, not store but use state function. And inside this use state function, the initial value will be set to empty string. Now for the UI, I'm going to remove this to do and provide these classes to it. And now here we are going to be creating yet another div with the class of these amazing classes. So now let me just go back, and inside this div we are going to be defining our h1, and I will just say like to do, or you know what, to do like so, and list. I will also provide a classes to it. Now let me just save my file, test this out. Let's just refresh there, and we are getting some sort of error, and that error is coming from the subscribe. Oh, that is coming from the subscribe. We are getting there from the Zustand, and that's not what we want. So we have to use our use store. We have to grab that from our store. Now let me just save my file and refresh there, and here you can see we are now getting our to-do list, which is looking cool. Now underneath this h1, what do you want to do? We want to define another div with the class of flex, and then items will be set to totally center, and margin for the bottom will be set to 4. And inside this div, let's just define our input field with the type of text, and the value will be coming from the input value which we just defined right here. There we go. And when somebody try to type something inside there, we're going to be firing this function which is a set input value, and here we have to specify event.target.value inside there. Okay, and I'm gonna also provide a placeholder which will say like add a new to do or to do, there we go, and provide these classes to it so that it looks a bit cool. And this is how it looks like right here, which is not that impressive to be honest, but yeah, it is looking cool. Now underneath this input field, we're going to be defining a button which allows us to do this. I'll just use like add, and here I'm going to provide the on click event handler. When somebody clicks on this button, we are going to be firing this handle add to do function, and we also have to provide these classes to it. Now let me copy the name of that and define this function right here. So let's just use our const handle add to do, and this function, first of all, we have to check if our input value dot trim, like if we don't have any spaces inside our input field, we want to check that if that is equal to empty string. If the user did not specify nothing, then we only want to return, like we don't want to do anything else in there. And now we have to add our to do, and if you want to add our to do, we are going to be first of all providing the ID, and the ID will be coming from date.now. We're going to be also providing a text, and the text will be coming from this input value. So I'm going to copy that and place it right here and provide my comma. And also for the completed flag, we're going to be setting that to false. And now underneath this add to do, we're going to be also setting our input value to empty string, like we just want to clear this out. Now let me save my file, and that's done. So we are not only able to add our to do, like whenever I click on this, it's gonna empty out our input field, but we cannot see their to do's. So to see that, we have to go ahead and render that right here. I'll use a UL with the class of space on the y-axis will be set to 3, and now iterate over through all of the to-dos by using the map method and provide a to-do as a parameter. Inside the let's just use our li, and here we have to specify the key, and the key will be coming from the to-do.id, and also provide these classes to it. So now inside this li, what do you want to do? We just want to create a div with the class of flex, and items will be set to center. And inside this div, we're going to be creating our input field with a type of checkbox. And then we also want to provide the check stat, and it's going to be check if you have to do dot completed. So it's going to either gives us true. So if it gives us true, that will be checked, but if it gives us false, so that's not going to be checked. So now let's just also provide the on change event handler, and here whenever somebody try to type something inside there, we are going to be firing this toggle to do function, and it's going to take a to do.id. And now outside from there, I'm going to also provide these classes to it. So now if I save my file, and here you can see this is how our checkbox looks like. If I add another item, so it's going to also give us that checkbox once again. And now underneath this checkbox, we want to show our label. Okay, so I'll use like span, and this span will only render the to do.text. So now if I save my file, and here you can see it's going to give us that text, but now let me just format that a bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and provide a classes to it, and that classes will be dynamic. So for that we have to use our template later on, and here we have to render our to do.completed flag totally dynamically. So if you have a completed flag, so in that situation we're going to be using this styling like line through, and also text will be set to gray of 400. Like if our state is completed, so then we are going to be using that styling. But if that's not the case, so we're going to be setting that to text totally gray of 700. Like so. So now if I save my file, and here you can see both of them are now set to this line through, but if I uncheck one of them, it's going to remove that line and also that styling. Okay, so that's what this line of code means. Now underneath there, we also want to create our button which will allows us to remove that specific to do. So I'll just use a button with the label of delete, and whenever somebody clicks on them, we're going to be firing this function which will take like remove to do, and here we have to specify the to do.id to it. Okay, so now outside from there, we're going to be also providing these classes to it. So now let me just save there, and this is how it looks like right here. Let's suppose if I want to delete this one, I can click on there, so it's going to delete there. If I want to remove this one as well, so it's going to also remove there. I can also add like walk the dog, click on the add, so it's going to add there. I can mark the as check. I can also totally delete there if I wanted to. I can also say like walk the fish in this case and click on the add, and it's going to add there, and I can say like record the React Native course. And now if I click on this one, so it's going to also give us there. I can also totally remove there, check and remove there. So yeah, that was our basic to-do list application by using React.js, TypeScript, Zustand, and also Tailwind CSS. What happened, Rick? I thought we ain't the good guys anymore, huh? I'm a better father than you, Rick. I'm better for Lori than you, man, because I'm a better man than you, Rick. And that was the Walking Dead dialogue, and I hope you guys appreciate that because I put a lot of efforts into it. So now let me open my terminal and make a setup for What amazing projects. Now let me zoom in a bit and use npm create vite at latest. The name will be notes. I'm gonna choose React.js with TypeScript, go into the notes folder and use not nudes but just a notes folder and install every single thing which needs to be installed for the React.js. Now that's done. We're going to be also installing a Zustand inside your project. That's also done. So now let me open that in my VS Code. Let me zoom in a bit. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to go into the Tailwind CSS and go into the framework guides, choose Vite and copy that from there and put it right here inside the terminal so it's going to install it inside my machine. So that's done, and copy the content from here, go into the Tailwind CSS and replace it with this new content like so. Save my file. Let me also copy that, go into the index.css and replace it with this new one. I guess the rest of them will be fine, but I'm going to also remove this public folder, assets folder, app.css folder, and I'm going to also remove every single thing from this app.tsx and replace them with this new h1. So I'm going to copy them and place them here. Then save my file and open my terminal. Use npm run dev to run there. Okay, so let's just use our local host of whatever. And now here you can see everything is working the way we expect them to work. But we would also need something called the React Quail or Quail, whatever you want to call that. So this is going to be the main website. So if I click on there, here, let me just click on there. Here is the main website. Basically, we are going to be using this Quail to render our editor. So here you can see we can totally change that to bold. We can also change that to italic or underline. And we can also make it as a link if you wanted to. We can make it as, what do we call it, as a order list, unordered list, a lot of stuff with there. So we are going to be using the React Quail, which will give us this editor totally for free. So how are we going to be installing there? Let me go back and go to this React Quail once again. Here I'm going to go to the bottom. This is how we are going to be installing this. So I'm going to copy this line of code and stop my server once again and place this React Quail right here. There we go, and I'm going to hit enter so it's going to install it inside my. So that's done. Now I'm going to go ahead and create my component right here. Or you know what, we're not going to be creating any component, but I'm going to just remove this h1 and replace it with this div. Save my file, and I'm going to copy these two lines of code. Let's just copy them and put them right here on the top. So this is how we're going to be importing and using the React Quail inside our project. Okay, so now let me go ahead and create my store.ts. And first of all, we would need the create function from the Zustand. Now underneath that, we have to create our use node store, and it's going to be equals to this create function, and inside this create function, we have to specify our callback function. And now inside this callback function, we are going to be doing a lot of stuff, but first of all, let me just create an interface. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to define my nodes, and nodes will be equals to this empty array. We are going to be also providing a search field because we are going to be also searching for nodes, and we would also need the editor content, which will be set to empty string. We are going to be also keeping track of the node color, and that's going to be equals to totally white color. We also need the current node index, and the current node index will be set to null. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a type for that. So let's just use like interface with the name of node, and inside there let's just use our text with the type of string and color with the type of string as well. Now underneath that, I'm going to be placing a huge interface and now let me explain that. Here you can see we have our node state interface, and inside there we have our nodes which will be coming from this node right here. Like we have our text and also the color, which are both set to string, and we also have the search field which is set to string, editor string, node color string, current node index which will either be a number or a null, and the initial value set to null. And we have a set nodes function which will take update nodes as a parameter and return white. And then we have a set search function which will take search value as a parameter and return white. And then we have a set editor content, set node color, set current node index, and add or update node. And we also have the select node. Okay, so this is how my interface looks like. Now I'm going to copy the name of them and annotate my create function with this what do we call it, node stat. Now underneath that, we have to define our set nodes, and that's going to be equals to the updated 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 nodes. And here we have to use our set method, and for this set method we are going to be first of all providing our nodes. So I'll use like nodes, and nodes will be coming from this updated nodes from up above. And now underneath that, we are going to be also providing our set search field, and it's going to take a search value as a parameter. And now inside this one, we're going to be using the set method, and here we have to just use search, and the search will be coming from the search value, which we also define up above. And now let's just use our set editor content. It's going to take a content as a parameter, and we're going to be using the set method one more time. And here inside them we have to use what do we call it, editor content, and that's going to be equals to this content. And now underneath there we're going to be using the set node color, and that's going to be equals to the color. And here we have to use the set, and inside this set, first of all, we have to get the node color. So we're going to be getting there by using this node color, and we have to define this color with there. That's also done. Now underneath this one, we have to also provide the set current node index. It's going to take an index as a parameter, and we have to use our set function inside there. And here we also have to define our current node index, and that current node index will be set to newly added index. Now let me just save my file, and that's going to be every single thing for the functions. And now we are only left with two other functions. So now let's just go back and create the and or node update and or update node to be precise. And we are going to be creating a body of there. But now let me also define the select node function as well. So it's going to take an index, and also I'm going to create a body of there in a few seconds. Okay, so let's just save our file. Okay, here we are making two mistakes. Let me remove this n, and here we also have to provide the separator, and that's going to be fine. Now let me take care of this and or update function. So inside there, or we are going to be removing this curly braces from there, and let's just use our set method and provide our state to them. First of all, we have to destructure a lot of things from this state. So to destructure them, we're going to be using the const result keyword, and we're going to be destructuring the editor content, the node command, the node color, and also the current node index, and also all of the nodes from this state. Now we also have to check, let me just go back, and we also have to check, and we're going to be checking if the editor content.trim, which means like if we have some sort of a spaces inside there, then we're going to be also checking once again the editor node index. If that is not, if that is not equals to no, so what do you want to do in that case? We want to update the existing node. So how are we going to be doing that? First of all, we need the clone of our existing nodes, and I will just clone there, and I'm going to store that clone value inside the updated nodes variable, like so. And next we can modify this. So to modify them, we are going to be using our updated nodes once again, and we have to specify our current node index, and that's going to be equals to this newly created object. And inside there we have to specify our text, and the text will be set to editor content, and we also have to provide the color, and the color will be set to node color, like so. And now underneath this if statement, we only have to return this object which will have the nodes. Let's just write in nodes, and nodes will be equals to this updated nodes. And also underneath there we have to specify our editor content, and our editor content will be set to empty string, and we also have a node color. And I'm gonna just provide there like totally empty, not an empty string but totally white color. Now I'll also use the current node index and set that to now. I'm gonna save my file. So that's gonna be the first if statement. Now outside from there, let me just highlight this one. So here you can see we have our highlighted brace, so I'll just provide an else class. But if that's not the case, what do you want to do in that situation? We only want to add a new to do. So to add a new to do, we are going to be just returning an object, and we're going to be using our nodes. And first of all, we have to make a copy of our existing nodes, and then we're going to be providing a text, and that text will be set to editor content. And also we have to change the color, and the color will be set to new color, okay, from up above. And also we have to use our editor content and set that to empty string, and provide a node color, which once again will be set to totally white color, and the current node index will be set to null, like so. This function is totally done. I'm gonna go into this select nodes function and remove this curly braces from there. And now I'll use the set function. It's gonna take a state as a parameter, and inside there, what do you want to do? We want to use our current node index, and the current node index will be equals to that index which we are now taking as a parameter for this function. And we're going to be also providing the the editor, and the editor content will be equals to the state.nodes, not color but nodes. There we go. And here we have to specify the index, and then we want to get the text out of there. Now I'll also take care of the node color, and the node color will be equals to state.nodes, and here we only want to get the index of that specific color, and that's gonna be it. Finally, we have to export this so that we can use it in other files. We are going to be using like export default and then use node store, and that was our entire store. So you know what, let's just use the inside our component. So now inside the app component, I'm going to use the use node store to import them, and we're going to be destructuring a few things from there, or you know what, every single thing that we've defined inside our store. So I'll use like editor content, also the node color, the current node index, like so, and the set editor content, set node color, and the add or update function from there. So now that's totally done. The next thing that we have to do is that we have to go to the UI, and I'm gonna style there a bit. So I'll just provide classes of height will be set to totally screen and flex. So now inside this div, we're going to be rendering our what we call it, our sidebar component in a few seconds, which we are going to be creating there. But now let me just take care of the main area. So now let's just save this file and take care of the main area. So I'll just create a div with a class of width will be set to 2 out of 3, and then padding will be set to 8. And inside this div, we have to specify our text editor, which means like we have to use our React Quill. So now underneath there, we have to just call our React Quill, which we are also importing right here. We have to call there, and we're going to be providing a few props to it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to provide the placeholder, which will say like write your note here and dot dot dot. I'm going to also provide like some sort of a theme to this. So the theme will be set to snow, and also I'm going to style this. So I'll just write like height will be set to 96, background will be set to totally white, margin for the bottom will be set to 2 rem, and close there. And here you can see we are now getting our text editor. I can also write something, I can totally format there if I want to, like I can make the italic, I can make that bold, or just a normal or something like that. I can also make it as a link if I wanted to. So let's just select them. And I can also, yeah, this one. Okay, so we can also specify our link and so on and so forth. So now our React Quill is working the way we expect him to work. So now underneath there, what do we have to do? We have to provide our color selector. So let me also create a color selector right here. So I'm going to create a div with the class of flex, and also margin for the left will be set to arbitrary value like 1 rem. And I'm going to also provide like items will be set to center, margin for the top will be set to 4, and space on the x-axis will be set to 4 as well. Okay, so now inside this div, we're going to be creating our input field with a type of color in this case, because we are going to be providing a color, not text or numbers or something like that. And I'm going to also provide the value, and the value will be that node color from up above. Okay, and when somebody try to type something inside there, then we're going to be firing this function, which is a set node color, and then we have to use our event.target target.value right here. And also I'm going to provide a class name, and the class name will take like width will be set to 2 rem, or not 2 rem but 10 would be fine. Height will be also set to 10, and padding for all around will be set to 1, provide a border and round it set to 4. I'm going to save this file. Now underneath this input, we are going to be also creating a paragraph which will say like choose a node color or something like that. So now let me test this out. So here you can see we have our input field, and now we can choose different kind of colors from there. So which is also looking cool. Now finally we have to create a button which allows us to save our changes. So I'll use like save button, and now underneath there we're going to be creating a button which will first of all check if the current node index is not equal to now. So in that situation we're going to be saying like update the node, but if that's not the case, we will just say like save the node like so. And when somebody click on this button, we are going to be firing this add or update function right here. I'll also provide these classes to it. And yeah, you can also provide then. So now let me just save my file, and I will also render this AI outline plus. Come on, AI. I guess I didn't install the React icon. So you know what, let me just install the npm I and then React icons like so. That's totally done. Let's just use our npm run dev one more time, and now we have to render there right here. So I'll use like AI outline and then plus. Come on, yep, this one. So I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to also provide a classes to it. So I'll just write like margin for the right will be set to 2. So now if I save my file, and here you can see I know the UI is not looking that cool. The UI is looking a bit weird because we're using a flex right here, and we are not providing any sidebar to there. So if I just remove this flex, save my file, and now this is how it looks like right here. I'm going to provide my flexbox or flex once again. Now for this React Quill, I'll also provide the value, and the value will be coming from the editor content. And also on the on change event handler, we're going to be firing this set editor content. I can write whatever I want to write. I can also totally edit it if I want to. and I can also choose a different color, and I can save there. Okay, so once I save there, like everything is working the way we expect him to work. But finally, we have to just create this sidebar component, and that's gonna be it. So I'll just create a file or even a component folder, and inside there I'll have like sidebar.tsx. I'll use my RAFCE inside there, save my file, and render my sidebar component right in here. Yeah, save my file, test this out. So here you can see we are now getting our sidebar, which is looking cool. And now let's just zoom in a bit. The first thing that I want to do is that I want to use like use node store, and I'm going to execute there. Okay, next we will also destructure a few things like the nodes, also not a node color. Let's just go back, the nodes, and also the search, and also the select node and set search. Now underneath them we're going to be defining our filtered nodes. So I'll use like filtered nodes, and that's going to be equals to the nodes, and now we're going to be filtering there. And to filter there, we will provide a callback function of node to there. And now inside this one, what do we have to do? You know, we don't even have to provide that parentheses. We can just use like node dot text dot to lowercase. We have to first of all change that to lowercase like so, and then we have to check if that includes the search dot to lowercase. We also have to change that to lowercase methods. Now I'm gonna save my file, so it's gonna give us that filtered data. And you know what, let me just render that right here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just remove this sidebar from there, and I will provide a classes of width will be set to 1 out of 3, background will be set to totally white, padding for all around will be set to 4, and shadow not small but large. So now inside this div, we want to create our div once again with the class of flex, and items will be set to center, and margin for the bottom will be set to 4. Okay, so I'll also use the FA, or you know what, FI search right here for a search icon. I'll also provide the classes of text will be set to totally extra large, margin for the right will be set to 2. And now underneath there, we're going to be defining our input field with the type of text, and I'll also provide the placeholder which will say like search nodes dot dot dot. And also I'll provide the value, and value will be a search value which is coming from our store. We can also provide the own change event handler, and it's going to take a callback function, and let's just use our set search right here. And for this set search, we're going to be providing our event.target.value, and now let's just save there and a bit of styling to it. So I guess that's going to be fine. Now let me check this out. So here you can see we're now getting our search field, but I don't know why this is looking super weird. Let me just take care of that. And I just realized that I made a mistake. I'm going to cut this div from here, and I'm going to put there right here at the bottom like so. So now if I save my file and test this out, so now that's looking better. Now let me also take care of the nodes. So I'll go to the sidebar once again, and finally we have to render all of our lists. So for them I'm going to be using like nodes list, and render all of my lists right here. Okay, so I'll use a div. Inside this div, I'll first of all check if you have the filtered nodes dot length, if that is equal to or greater than 0. So in that situation, we're going to be rendering one UI. If that's not the case, then we're going to be rendering another UI. Now I'll just create a paragraph which will say like no new nodes, and I'll just close this paragraph right here, just like that. And now for this one, we have to render our first UI. So first of all, we have to iterate over through all of our filters. So I'll use a map method for that. So it's going to take a node and also the index, and here we have to specify our div. So I'll just write a div, and I'm going to close them and close this div like so. Okay, so inside this div, what do we have to do? Or you know what, first of all, we have to provide a few things to there. So I'll provide a key, and key it will take as an index. And we're going to be also providing the own click event handler. When somebody try to click on them, then we're going to be firing this select node function, and here we have to specify our index. So now if I save my file, next we have to also provide a classes to it, and now inside this div we have to provide our content. The first thing that we have to do is that we have to create the color circle, and to create them, first of all, we are going to be creating a div, and that div we're not going to be closing there like this. We're going to be closing there as a one-liner. I'm going to provide a class name, and a class name will take like width of 4, and height will also be set to 4, because we're just creating a small circle, and that's going to be totally rounded. And also margin for the right will be set to, and let's just also provide a classes to it. So I'll just write like classes, and here inside there we will first of all change the background color like so, and that's going to be coming from the node dot color. And I'm going to also provide the border, and border will be set to 1 pixel, not 2 but 1 pixel solid, and totally black color. And now what I want to do is that I want to just write some sort of a note. I'll also choose the color of that, and I'm going to just choose some sort of a pinkish, not a pink color but purple color. Now I'm going to save that, and once I save that, here you can see that color right here, or that circle to be precise. Now underneath we're going to be creating yet another div, and which will have the class of truncate, and also it will have a property which is a dangerously inner HTML property, and here we have to just specify dash dash HTML, and for this HTML we're going to be providing our node.txt. Okay, so now if I save my file, here we also have to specify these curly braces once again, and now that's totally looking better. So now let me explain what in the world is this dangerously set inner HTML. So in React.js, this dangerously set inner HTML is a property that allows you to set HTML content directly within a component. It is also named this way to highlight the potential risk associated with injecting the HTML content, such as like cross-site scripting, XSS attacks. If the HTML content is not properly sanitized, you're not going to be using it in the production, but we are just creating this simple application, so that's why I use that. So I want you to keep that in mind. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just test this out. So I'll just write like, I don't know, walk the dog or something like that. I'm going to choose a red color for them and save that as a node. I'll also write like something cool, and now I'm going to just highlight this cool and bold there and change the color of that to something, I don't know, kind of a greenish color would be fine. And now I'm going to also save this node, and here you can see we are also getting that styling. We can also write like amazing stuff as a node, and I'll just select this first one and underline there. I'll also choose a color for that, like kind of a orangish or yellowish color. And now if I click on this save node, so it's going to also save there. Now I can also search for a specific node. So let's suppose if I want to search for like something, it's going to give us that something cool. If I want to search for the amazing, so it's going to give us that amazing stuff. If I want to search for like walk the dog, so it's going to also give us that. And that was our nodes project in React.js. Do you know what insanity is? Insanity is doing exact fucking same thing over and over again and expecting shit to change. Says who? Says my grandma. God rest her soul. She is the most wonderful woman in this entire universe. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is that we have to make a setup for our amazing and advanced level project. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make a setup. So let me just zoom in a bit so you guys can see everything a bit better. And I'm going to be using npm create v8 latest, and then I'm going to give it the name of like advanced task list. I'll choose React.js and TypeScript. Let's just go ahead and go to the advanced level task list, and I'm going to be using npm I to install all of the packages. Now that's successfully done. I'm going to also install Zustand, so I'll use like npm I and then Zustand, and it's going to install that in my machine. I'll also install the React icons, and then I'm going to open that inside my VS Code. So I'll use like open dot, and this is how things looks like. So I'll just go ahead and remove the public folder, access folder, app.css, and remove every single thing from the app.tss or tsx. I'm gonna go into the app and remove every single thing from there. I'll also go ahead and use the npm run dev to start my server. So I'll use like npm run dev, and then I'm gonna use the local host, so it's gonna run there. I'm gonna also go ahead and go to the Tailwind CSS and install Tailwind CSS inside my project. So let's just go ahead and copy this command, open the terminal, and place the right here. I'll just place there. I'll also hit enter, so it's going to initialize the Tailwind CSS inside my project. So I'll just copy this content. Now let me go ahead and go to our Tailwind config file and replace that with this new content. I'm going to copy this Tailwind, like index.css components, and I'm going to place that there. Finally, let's just test this out. So I'll go ahead and go to my app and replace that with this dev, like so. Now let me use the npm run dev, so it's gonna start my server. I'm gonna go there, and here you can see everything is working the way we expect them to work. So that was our basic setup of our project. Okay, so now first thing first, we have to define our store. So I'll use like store.ts, and now inside there we are going to be doing craziness. We are going to be writing a lot of code. So I'll use first of all import the create function. Create function from where? From the Zustand library. And now we have to define our store. So I'll use like export and then const use store. It's going to be equals to the create function which we are now importing. And it's going to take a set object, and inside this set object we're going to be performing a lot of craziness. But I want you to bear with me for a few seconds, because first of all we are going to be defining a lot of interfaces, and then we are going to be writing a data based on those interfaces. So now let's just start from the first thing. First of all, we are going to be creating an interface for the list, and inside there we are going to be providing a name, and the name will be totally a string. We're going to be also setting there for the emoji, and emoji will be set to a string, and that's done. We also have to create an interface for the workspace, so I'll use like interface, and let's just create a workspace. And here inside there we have to define the name, and the name will be set to string, and the emoji will also be set to a string. Okay, now underneath there we have to take care of the to do. So I'll just go ahead and create an interface for the. I'm gonna annotate there with the text, and text will be a string. I'm gonna also provide a list, and list will be a string. The workspace, come on, workspace will be a string as well. Okay, save my file. Now we have to define one of the biggest interface in this entire course. So we are going to be defining the interface for what? For our app state, and this app state will have a lot of state and a lot of data inside there. So let's just start from the first one. First of all, we are going to be writing our list, and the list will be coming from this list which we just defined right here. Okay, so that's going to be our list. I'm going to also provide the workspace, so let's just use our workspace, and we are going to be annotating there with our workspace which we just saw a few seconds ago. I'm going to also write the to-dos, and here we have to annotate there with our to-do interface, and then we have to write the edit index. It's going to be either a number or a null value. Now we have to also write the drop down index. It's going to be either a number or a null value. And then we have to take care of is list model open. That's going to be a boolean value, so we have to annotate there is workspace model open, and here we also have to annotate there with a boolean, and then selected list, and we have to annotate there with a string, then selected workspace, and also annotate there with the string one more time. Then we have to create our to do text, and that's going to be a string. Also have to create our model name, a string, and then the model emoji, come on, model emoji, that's going to be a string as well. It should be 1D. And then the model type, and model type will either be a list or it's going to be come on, a workspace. So let's just write our workspace, or it's going to be a null value. I'm going to also write the add list, and for this add list we're going to be using a name, and that name will be a string. We also have to provide the emoji. I'm going to provide a comma there, and the emoji it will take as a string, and here we have to return void from there. I'm going to also write the add workspace, and for this add workspace we are going to be providing a name. Name will be a string, and also the emoji will be, come on, emoji will be a string as well, and we're going to be returning a void from there. I'm going to also attach the add to do, and here add to do will be taking a to do, and now we have to annotate there with our to do interface which we just defined up above, and return void from there. Update to do, and then it's going to take the index, and index will be a number, and then updated to do, and it's going to be a to do which we just defined up above, and we are going to be returning a void from there. Now let me take care of the delete. Come on, delete or delete to do, and it's going to take the index, and index will be a number, and we are going to be returning a void from there. Let's just take care of the handle edit, and handle edit will take the index, and that index will be a number, and we're going to be returning a void from there. Handle update, and same exact thing, like it's going to take an index, and index will be a number, and we are going to be returning a void from there. Then handle drop down click, when somebody clicks on there, it's going to take an index, and index will be a number, and we are going to be returning a void from there. Now we also have to create for the set edit text, and here it's going to take a text as a parameter, and text will be a string, and return void from there, and then set edit index, and then it's going to take an index as a parameter. We're going to be annotating there as a number, or it should be, come on, what the hell did I just do? It should be a null value, so either a number or a null value, and we're going to be returning a void from there. And now let me define a few more, and then I promise that's gonna be it. Okay, so I'm gonna define the open list model, and this open list model will take nothing. It's gonna only return the void. And then close list model, also not gonna take anything, and we're going to be returning void from there. And then we have the close workspace model, and it's not going to take anything. Once again, it's going to return the void from there. Also set selected list, and here we have to provide a list, and list will be set to a string, and we have to return the void from there. And then the set selected workspace, it's going to take the workspace as a parameter. We have to annotate it as a string and return the void from there. Close there. We're going to be also using a set to do text, and now we have to provide a text inside there and return, well, like annotate there with a string, and it's going to return a void. Now let's just create handle add to do, and then we are going to be just returning this void function. And now we also have to get the set model name, and here we have to put a name and annotate that with a string, and it's going to return a void. And then set model emoji, it's going to take the emoji, and that emoji we're going to be annotating there as a string and return void from there. Let's just use a void. And now we're going to be using set model type, and for this set model type we are going to be providing a type. So type will either be a list, let's just write a list, or it can be a workspace. Okay, and finally we are going to be returning the void from there, and then we are going to be using the handle save model, and we have to return nothing from there, just a void. Okay, void, there we go. Now let me save my file, and that was our basic basic interfaces. So first of all, we created an interface for the list, then for the workspace, then for the to do, and finally we created there for the app state. So now let me just copy the name of there and annotate my create function with this app state. So I'll just use like app state and close there, and now we have to specify a values for them. So what I'm going to do is that first of all, I'm going to be defining my list. So it's going to be set to just the empty list or array. I'm going to also specify the workspace, and workspace will be once again list, and then to do's we have to provide that array once again. And then for the edit index, we're going to be setting the initial value to null, and then the edit text, and we are going to be setting the initial value to empty string. Then for the drop down index, we are going to be setting that to initial value of null. Then is list model open, the initial value will be set to false, and then is workspace model open, the initial value will be set to false. And then for the selected list, come on, let's just write a selected list, and we're going to be setting that to empty string. And then set selected workspace, and we're going to be setting that to empty string. Now underneath there we have to write a to do text and annotate that with empty string, and also the model name will be set to empty string. The model emoji will be set to this string, and the model type will also be set to null. Now we have to define our functions, like how we are going to be changing our states. So let's just start from the first one, which is the add list, like how we are going to be adding our new list. It's going to take a name, and it's going to also take the emoji we already annotated there. And now we just have to use the set method, and this set method will take the state, and here we have to use their state. So we're going to be using like list. Now we have to annotate that with dot 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 state first of all, state dot list, and then we have to use the name, name, and also the emoji. I'm gonna save this file, but we are getting some sort of an error. I know these errors are coming from the TypeScript, but where in the world is this error coming from? Oh, that's because we have to write a curly braces there. I'm gonna cut there and place it right here, and that's done. This is how we are going to be adding our new list. Now let's talk about the workspace, like how we are going to be adding a workspace. So I'll use like add work. Come on, it is doing that for me. Now I'll write like the name and also the emoji, and here we have to use the set method, and I'm going to be using a state, and inside there we have to define our workspace, and here inside this workspace we are going to be getting there from the state.workspaces or spaces. Was there a space or a spaces? Let me just check this out. Okay, it was a workspace. So yeah, we also have to write a workspace right here. I'll remove them and provide a comma. It's going to take a name, and it's going to also take the emoji. I'm going to save this file. Now I'm going to go ahead and define how we are going to be adding a to do. So I'll use like add to do, and now it's going to take a to do inside there. Now I'll use the set method once again. It's going to take the state, and for this state we are going to be getting our to do's from where? From dot 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 the state dot to do, or to do's rather. And now we have to just specify our new to do to there, which we are now taking as a perimeter, and we are now passing there right here. Okay, so that's our add to do. Now let me just take care of updating the to do. So I'll use like update to do, and here we have to take the index and also the updated to do. And now we have to use the set method. It's going to take a state, and for this state I'm gonna go ahead and first of all define my new to do. So I'll use like const new to do, or to do's rather. And first of all, we have to make a clone of our existing one if we have something. So we are going to be using state.todos. So it's gonna allow us to make a clone of our existing to do's, and this should be const. And we are getting a lot of these curly braces, but you know what? Let me just remove this annotation from here so that we can remove all of their errors, and I'm gonna add it back in a few seconds. So this is how we are going to be adding our new to do. Then we have to get that new to do, and I'm going to place that right here and provide that index, which we are now taking as a perimeter, and we have to provide there, and then we have to set that to this updated to do. So I'll use like this updated to do, copy the name of there and place it right here. That's done. And finally we have to return some sort of a data from there. So I'm going to be using what the hell is wrong? Oh, we have to remove this parentheses and also that parentheses from there. Now we have to return a data. So I'll just use like for the to-dos, we're going to be adding a new to-do for there, and also for the edit index, we are going to be attaching a null value initially, and also for the edit text, we're going to be setting that to empty string. So now let me just save my file, and that's going to be it for updating the to-do. So I'll just collapse them. Now underneath this updating to do, we have to define yet another function which will allows us to delete the to do. Okay, so let's just use like the index, and here inside there we're going to be using our set method. It's going to take a state as a perimeter, and here inside there we have to first of all get all of the to-dos from where, from the stat.todos, and then we have to use the filter. So let's just go ahead and use the todos.filter. We are not interested in anything, but we are interested in the index. So I'll just go ahead and use like if our index does not equal to that index which we are now taking as a perimeter. So in that situation we only want to remove that specific to do, and we also want to make a drop down index. Come on, what the hell did I just do? God damn it. Okay, so I'll just use like drop down index. It's going to be set to the initial value of null. I'm going to provide a comma there. Now that's looking better. So this is how we are going to be removing our to do or deleting our to do. Now underneath this delete to do, we have to also create a function for handling the edit. So I'll use like the handle edit, and it's going to take an index as a perimeter, and inside there we have to use a set method. It's going to take a stat, and for this stat what we have to do, we have to first of all define our edit index, and we have to provide the index value which we are now taking as a perimeter from there. And now we have to use the edit text, and now I'm going to annotate that with the stat dot, and now let me just provide index inside there dot text. Now we have to use the drop down index, and now we have to set that to totally null value like this. I'm going to also collapse there, and now we have to create for the handle update. So it's going to take an index, and now inside there we have to use the set method once again and provide our state. And now for this one we are going to be first of all defining our updated to do, and how are we going to be doing them. This is how we are going to be doing there. So first of all we have to make a clone of our existing state.todos and provide our index inside there which we are now taking as a perimeter from there. Okay, I'm going to also provide a text, and the text will be set to stat.edit text. Come on, edit text, and that's going to be done. So now underneath this updated to do, what the hell am I doing? This should be updated to do. Now underneath this updated to do, we have to define our new to do. So I'll use like const new to do's, and it's going to be equals to this object, well, like this array, and we have to make a clone of our existing stat.todos like so, and then we have to use our new to-dos inside there and pass our index which we are now taking as a perimeter, and set that to this updated to-do. Underneath there we are going to be returning the to-dos, and also we are going to be setting the value of there to new to-dos, and then edit index will be set to this now. Okay, so I'll use like edit index and set that to now. I'm going to also provide the edit text and set that to empty string. Okay, so yeah, that's going to be it. So I'm going to comment or collapse there. Next we have to define our handle drop down click. So let's just use a handle drop down click, and then it's going to take an index as a perimeter. Now we can use a set method, and for this set method we have to specify a stat index. Now inside there we are going to be using our drop down index. If the index is equal to the stat dot drop down index, so in this situation we are going to be setting the value to null. But if that's not the case, we are going to be setting there to this index which we are now taking as a perimeter. That's going to be it for the handle drop down click. Now let me take care of the set edit text. So I'll use like set edit text and annotate there with the like not annotate, but it's going to take a text as a perimeter. And now I'm going to be using a set method once again, and here inside there we have to use the edit text and provide the text value which we are now taking as a perimeter right here. I'm going to provide a comma. Now let me also take care of the set edit index, and here it's going to take the index as a perimeter. And now we are going to be using the set method and provide our edit index and change that to index which we are now taking as a perimeter. Provide a comma there. Now we are going to be also taking care of the open list model. It's not going to take anything as a perimeter. And now we are going to be using a set method, and for this set method we are going to be checking is list model open. We are going to be setting that to true, and also the model type will be set to a list in lowercase, or in uppercase L, and the rest of them will be in lowercase. That's done. We also have to create one more for what do we call it, clause list model. And now it's not going to take any parameter, but now we are going to be using a set method inside there. And here we have to provide like is list model open. So I'll use like is list model open and change that to false, and the model name will be set to this empty string, and also the model emoji will be set to this empty string. That's done. Now let's create our open workspace model like so. It's not going to take any parameter, but once again, we're going to be copying this entire line, and now let me just place them. So instead of providing this is list open, I'm going to change that to is workspace model open. Okay, and now we are going to be setting that to true. And for the model type, I'm going to remove that and change that to the model type, and it's going to be set to the workspace. So uppercase W and then space in lowercase, like that. Now we're going to be using a closed workspace model, and here we have to provide our arrow function. Now let's just use a set method, and inside there we are going to be checking is our workspace model open, and we are going to be setting that to false. Then the model name will be set to empty string. I'm going to also provide the model emoji and change that to empty string once again. Underneath there we have to define our set selected list, and now it's going to take a list as a parameter. Now we are going to be defining our set, and here we have to write like selected list and change that to the list which we have created. Well, like it is taking as a parameter. And now underneath there we have to also define the set selected workspace, and for this set selected workspace, let me just remove that dot from there. It's going to take a workspace as a parameter, and now we are going to be using a set method. And now we have to write a selected workspace and set that to the workspace which we are now providing as a parameter. Okay, that's done. Now underneath there we are going to be defining the set to do text and provide our text inside there. Now we are going to be using our set method once again and provide our to do text, and their to do text will be set to this text. Now underneath there we also have to provide our handle add to do, and now inside this handle add to do we're going to be using our set method not like this, but let's just remove there. We are going to be using our set method like this. It's going to take a state as a parameter, and inside there what do we have to do? We have to destructure a few things from our state. So what are the things which we are going to be destructuring from our state? These are all the things that we have to destructure from the state. So I'll just write like to do text and then selected list rather, then selected workspace. Okay, so we have to destructure there. And now we can check if text.trim method. So if that's the case, like if that is equal to empty string, so in that situation, but if that's not the case, we are going to be creating a new to do. So I'll use like const new to do, and here is going to be an object. So we have to specify the list, and the list will be set to selected list, and provide my comma and then workspace, and workspace will be set to selected workspace, which we are now destructuring from our state right here. That's done. Finally we have to return those values, so we are going to be using like return. And now let's just use the to-dos and change that to dot 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 and then state dot to-dos. Like we want to make a clone of there, and then we want to add our new to-do inside there. If that's the case, we are going to be also setting the to-do text to totally empty string, and also the selected text to be also selected text is going to be also set to empty string, and the selected selected list will be also set to empty string, and finally the selected workspace will also be set to empty string. So that's our handle add to do or hide there. Now underneath there we have to define another function or method, whatever you want to call there. So we're going to be using like set model name. It's going to take a name as a parameter, and now we have to use the set method, and now we have to provide the model name inside there, and that's going to be set to this name. I'm going to provide a comma. Now let's take care of the set model emoji, and here we have to provide our emoji, and now we have to use the set function, and let's just use the model emoji and change that to the emoji like so. I'm going to also use the set model type, and it's going to be taking a type, and now we have to use the set method and provide my model type, and that's going to be set to this type like so. Now underneath that we have to use the handle save, and then we are going to be using this function. Now let me just provide my state method inside there and provide my state just like this, and here inside there let's just destructure a few things from our state. So what are the things that we are going to be destructuring? We are going to be destructuring the model name from where? From the state, and also the model emoji, and also the model type. Okay, so now underneath there let's just save our file. Okay, what the hell is going on? Where the hell? Oh, we have to provide a comma there. So now let me just save my file and now it will work. Okay, next we have to check if our model name dot trim method equals to empty string. So in this situation, we're going to be only returning the stat. Okay, let's just put the up above, and now we have to check if our model type is equal to the list. So in that situation, we're going to be using stat dot add list, and now we have to add our model name, and also our model emoji like that. And if that's not the case, we're going to be using the model type, and if the model type is equal to the workspace, so in that situation we're going to be using that stat once again, and we're going to be attaching the add workspace, and then we have to provide the model name and also the model emoji like so. Finally we have to return all of that values, and that's done. So I'll just use like the model name, we have to annotate there with empty string, and also the model emoji we have to use the initial value of empty string, and then the model type and use the null value to there, and then is list model open, we have to set that to false, and also is workspace model open and set that to false. Oh my god, that was a lot, and I mean a lot of typing. Okay, so still I'm gonna go ahead and go to the top, and I'm going to copy this abstract from there, and here I'm going to annotate my create function with this abstract. And now let me just save my file, and yeah, that was our store. And now let's just start working on our UI. So that was it about for the store. Now let's start working on our UI. So I'm going to go ahead and define my components folder, and inside them I'm going to be defining my sidebar.tsx and also my main area.tsx. Let's just go to the sidebar and use the RAFCE, and also inside the main area use the RAFCE. Now let me go ahead and go to my UI and provide my flex classes to there. So I'll use like the class names, and it's going to be set to flex, and height will be set to totally screen. Inside this div we have to render our sidebar, which we are now getting, and we have to close that. Underneath there we have to create a div with the class of flex of totally 1. Padding all around will be set to 6, and now I'm going to select main area and render there right here. If I check this out, so we are now getting a sidebar, and we are also getting this main area. So we are going to be taking care of the sidebar in a few seconds, but first of all we have to take care of the main area. So you know what, I'm gonna comment this line out, save my file, and now we are getting this main area. And now let's just start working on our main area. So what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna grab something called the use store. From where? From, let's just go ahead and go to our store, and now inside them we have to destructure a few things. So I'll just destructure what do we call it we are going to be destructuring all of that from the use store. So we would need the lists, and also the workspaces, and also the selected list, selected workspaces, and to do text, selected to do list, or set selected list, and then set selected workspace, set to do text, and finally we have to destructure the handle add to do. I'm gonna save this file right now. Now let me go ahead and go to my UI and provide a class name. So I'll use like the flex will be set to 1, and padding all around will be set to 6. Inside this div we have to define margin for the bottom of, and not 5 but just a 4. Inside there we have to create our input field, and this input field will have the type of text. I'm gonna also specify the value, and that value will be coming from this add to do, I mean like to do text to be precise. And now let me just place it right here, and when somebody try to type something inside this, we are going to be firing this function, which will be a set to do text, and provide my event.target.value inside there. Let me just save my file, and that's going to be done. We also have to specify the placeholder, which will say like add a new to do or something like that, and also specify my class name. So I'll say like border, and border will be set to gray of 300. Padding all around will be set to 2. Totally rounded large, and the width will be set to totally full. Now let me save my file and check this out. So we are now getting this amazing huge input field. We will change that in a few seconds, but yeah, let's just proceed to the next one. So the next thing that we have to do is that we have to create a div with a class of margin for a top of 2, flex, and also items will be set to totally center. And inside there we have to define our select field. We're not going to be attaching any name to this, so I'll just remove the name and also the ID from there, and I'm going to specify the value. And for this value we are going to be providing our selected list, and that's going to be it. And when somebody try to change something inside there, we are going to be firing this function, and we are going to be changing the selected list value, and we are going to be providing the event.target.value inside there. I'm going to also specify a bit of classes to this, so I'll use like border, and border will be set to gray of 300, and also padding all around will be set to 2, rounded large, and margin for the right will be set to 2. Inside this select statement, we're going to be defining our option, and for this option we're not going to be providing any value today, and let's just make that disable. And here I will just say like select list, and underneath this option we're going to be iterating over through all of our list, and I will use the map method and provide my list inside there and the index. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to specify my option and close there. And for this option, we are going to be providing a key, and the key will be set to this index. And I'm going to also specify the value, and value will be coming from the list.name. And here inside there, we have to render our emoji. So I'll use like list.emoji and then list.name. I'm going to save this file right now. And yeah, we are getting this select statement, but we did not specify nothing inside our sidebar. So that's why we cannot select something from there. So yeah, that's cool and everything. Now underneath this select statement, we have to define yet another select statement. So we are not going to be providing any name and ID today. So let's just remove that from here. And we are going to be providing a value. So let's just use the value, and the value will be set to selected workspace like so. And when somebody try to change something inside there, so let's just use the on change event handler. We are going to be firing this function, which is a set selected workspace, not list, but change that to workspace, and provide my event.target.value inside there. Underneath there, we also have to specify the classes. So I'll use like the border, and border will be set to gray of 300. Padding all around will be set to 2, rounded totally large. And inside this select statement, we're going to be defining our option, and for each of this option we're not going to be providing any value today, and I'm going to make that totally disable, and I'll just select select workspaces right here, or workspace rather. Underneath this option, we're going to be rendering our workspaces if we have some. So if you have the workspaces, then we want to iterate over through them. So I'll use like the workspace, and just a workspace rather, and I'm going to also paste the index inside there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to provide my option once again, and here for this option we're going to be providing the key, and the key will be set to this index, and the value will also be set to workspace.name. So for this option we're going to be rendering our workspace.emoji and then workspace.name. Now let me just save my file. Here we have a selected workspaces, but we cannot select any workspace from there, and also any list because we did not create them. So once we create them, then we will be able to see all of them. So what I'm going to do is that underneath this select statement, we are going to be defining our button, and for this button I'm going to also attach a few classes to this. So I'll use like background totally black, text will be set to totally white, pairing for the x-axis will be set to 4, pairing for the y-axis will be set to 2, totally rounded large, and also margin for the left will be set to 4, flex, and let's just make it items totally center like so. And it's gonna say like add to do, and here we also have to render our icons. So I'm going to be using like FA plus icon, so it's going to allow us to add work to do. I'm going to save my file, and also when somebody clicks on there, we are going to be adding work to do. So I'll use like the on click event handler, and when somebody clicks on there, we are going to be firing this handle add to do function. And yep, we are now getting there. So if I type something inside there and click on this add to do, it's going to add there, but we cannot see there. And why is that? Because we did not render any content on our screens, so that's why we would not be able to see anything. So yeah, that was just the main area, and now let's just take care of the sidebar and also the other stuff. That's done. So let's just go ahead and go to our app and render all of our content right here, so all of our to-dos and stuff. So what I'm going to do is that underneath this main area, I'm going to define another div with a class of margin for a top of 6, and inside there let's just use our h2 with the classes of text totally extra large. Font will be set to semi-bold, MB like margin for the bottom will be set to 4, and margin for the left will be arbitrary value. So I'm going to be using like 2 rem. I'll specify my to-do list inside there. Let's just save our file. Check this out. So we are now getting our to-do list, and now finally we have to iterate over through all of our to-dos so that we can see them. So I'm going to be using like UL, and for this UL we're going to be passing the class of list disc, and also padding for the left will be set to 5. Oh, I forgot to destructure them. So I'm going to go to the top, and first of all we would need, let's just import the use store from where from, let's just go ahead and go to the top and import that store from the store. I mean like that use store from the store. So for now I'm going to be destructuring a few things, so I'll just use this destructuring syntax, and we're going to be destructuring there from this use store. So what do we need from there? We need the to-dos obviously, and also we need the edit index and edit. We would also need the edit text and the drop down index, handle edit, handle update, not add but handle Come on, handle update, drop down click, delete to do, set edit text. Yeah, index would be fine, and also we need the set edit text. I'm gonna save this file, and now let's just go ahead and iterate over through all of their to-dos which we just imported from our store. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and use there. I'll paste my to-dos, and now let's just iterate over through there by using the map method, and then I'm gonna be passing a to-do and also the index inside there. Okay, so let's just close there, and I'm gonna be using a li, close this one. We have to also specify the key, and the key will be set to an index, and for the class name, margin for a bottom will be set to 2, margin for the left will be set to rem, and close there like so. I'm going to be also checking like if the edit index is equal to this index which we are now getting by iterating over through our items. So if that's the case, we're going to be rendering one UI. If that's not the case, we're going to be rendering another UI. I'm going to take care of the else clause in a few seconds, so I'll just close it like this, and now we have to take care of this first one. So I'll just define first of all my div with the class of flex, and also the items will be set to totally center. I'm going to save my file. Inside this div we have to define our input field with the type of text. I'm going to also paste the value, and the value will be set to edit, and when somebody try to change something inside there or type something inside there, we're going to be setting the edit text to this event.target.value, like whatever the user type inside there we want to get there. Now let's just also provide a bit of classes to this. So we'll use like border, and border will be set to gray of 300, and padding all around will be set to 1, totally rounded, large, margin for the right will be set to 2. Here we are now getting this UL, but also we have to render that content which we type inside there. I'm going to be first of all using my button, so I'll use like button, and the classes will be set to background totally green, 500, text of totally white, padding for the x-axis of 2, padding for the y-axis of 1, totally rounded, large, and margin for the right will be set to 2. Inside this button, what do we have to do? We have to paste the update label inside there, and when somebody clicks on this button, we are going to be firing this function. So I'll just say like handle update, which we are now getting from our store, and we are going to be placing our index inside there. So it's going to update our item based on this index. Now underneath this update button, we are going to be passing our delete button. So I'll use like button, and the classes will be set to background gray of 500, and also text of totally white, padding for the x-axis of 2, padding for the y-axis of 1, totally rounded, large, and inside them I'm going to paste like cancel, save this file. And here we also have to attach the event handler, so when somebody try to click on there, then we are going to be firing this function like set edit index and pass null value to there. That's done. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the else class and remove that from here, and define my div with the class of relative, and also we have to make the as a flex, justify will be set to between, and the items will be set to totally center. Inside there, let's just define our div. Inside this div we have to define our span, margin for the right will be set to 4, and now finally we have to render our label or whatever we type inside this input field. So I'll just use like the strong tag for them, and now we have to use like to do.text, and here outside from there we're going to be also rendering like the list, just a label of list, and now we have to use our to do.list inside there. Underneath there we are going to be also specifying the workspaces or just a workspace, and now we can use that to do.workspace, save our file, and here you can see we're now getting the text which we specified inside our input field. We are not getting the list because we did not select any list. We are also not getting any workspace because we did not select any workspace, so that's why we are not getting there. But other than that, we are now getting our content. So you know what, let me just add something else, and if I click on this add button, it's gonna add there right here. So that's cool. Underneath this div we have to define another div with a class of flex, and items will be set to totally center. I'm gonna render the icons, so I'll use like md more, just grab that from the react icons. Now we can specify our class name, so let's just pass like the cursor, come on, it's cursor, and cursor will be set to pointer, and the size will be set to 24, and when somebody clicks on there we are going to be firing this function. So I'll use like the handle drop down, come on, handle drop down click, and when somebody clicks on there we are going to be passing this index inside there. Now let me add something, and if I click on the add to do, we are now getting these 3 dots. If I click on there, nothing will happen. And why? Because we did not specify any content inside there. So now let's just do this. So I'll use like if the drop down index is triple equals to their specific index, so in that situation we're going to be rendering this UI. So I'll use like the div, and this div will have the classes of absolute, and also the right value will be set to 0, margin for the top will be set to 2, background wholly white, and also border and make that wholly rounded, shadow will be set to totally large. Inside there we have to define our button. So this button will have a few classes like block, and pairing for the x-axis will be set to 4, pairing for the y-axis will be set to 2, text of totally gray of 700, and I'm going to also provide the hover state. So we are going to be doing that in a few seconds, so let's just do that. I'm going to use the hover state, and we are going to be only changing the background color to 100 when somebody hover over this button, and we also want to provide the width of totally full, text will be set to totally left. And for this button, I'm gonna say like update, and now let me just save there. I'm gonna go back because I feel like there's a lot of text. Underneath this button, we're going to be defining yet another button, or you know what, we have to define another button separately. So I'll just define a button, and it's gonna say delete. I'm gonna also style that a bit, so I'll use like the block, pairing for the x-axis of 4, pairing for the y-axis of 2, text gray of 700. And when somebody hover over there, we are going to be changing the background to totally 100, and width will be set to full, and text will be set to left. That's done. I'm going to also attach the event handlers on them, so when somebody try to click on there, then we want to fire this function. So I'll use like the handle edit and paste my index inside there, save this file. I'm going to also provide the event handler on this delete button, so when somebody clicks on there, we're going to be firing this function and use the delete to do and paste our index inside there. I'm gonna go ahead and add some to do, so I'll use like something and click on the add to do. So here you can see we're now getting the text, and we are not getting any list because we did not add any of them. We are also not getting any workspaces because we also did not add them. I'm gonna click on these 3 dots, and here you can see we can now update there. If I click on the update, so I can change the or learn framer motion or something like this. So I'll use like learn framer motion. Click on the update, and here you can see it's gonna update there. If I want to delete there, so I can click on these 3 dots, and I can click on this delete, so it's going to remove them from the UI. I can also add something else like learn Zustand with projects or something like that, and now I can click on this add to do, and it's going to add there right here. I can once again click on there and change that to framer motion or something like that, and click on here, so it's going to also update there, and we can also delete there. So that's totally done. That's totally done. Now let's start working on the final touches. So we are going to be working with the sidebar right now. And the first thing that we would need is the use store from where from our store file. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the top and get this store from there. Next, we're going to be destructuring a few things from where from our use store, which we just imported. So what are the things that we would need? We would need the list. We would also need the workspaces, the open list model, and the open workspace model, like so. I'm gonna go to the UI and remove them and add a few class names. So I'll just use like width will be set to 60, background will be set to this F9 and close there. I'm gonna also specify the flex, and flex will be set to totally column. Inside there we have to define our flex of 1, and overflow, overflow will be set on the y-axis, will be set to totally auto, like so. Pairing all around will be set to 4, not 5, but pairing all around will be set to totally 4. Inside there we have to define our h3 with the classes of text totally large, font of semi-bold, semi-bold, and flex items will be totally center. I'm gonna just render my list inside there. Now let me just save my file, and here you can see we're now getting this amazing sidebar and also this list right here. That's totally done. And now here we are going to be rendering our list of items, but we are going to be doing there once we are totally done with the model, which we are going to be creating in a few seconds. So I'll just define a button right here, and it's going to take like the class of flex, and justify will be set to totally center. Items will also be set to totally center, and margin for our top will be this arbitrary value, which will be set to 1 rem. It's going to say like this fa plus, and we have to import that and close that right here. I'm going to also specify the classes margin for the right will be set to 2, and it's going to say list or just a list singular. Here you can see we're now getting them, which is looking cool. And now the next thing that we have to do is that we have to go ahead and go to the bottom and create our workspaces. So I'll just use like pairing for all around will be set to totally 4. Inside there we have to render, or you know what, I'm going to copy this exact same thing from there, place it right here, and change that to workspaces. And now underneath this h3, what do we have to do? We have to render our workspaces, which we are going to be doing in a few seconds, but not right now. Let's just create our button with the class of flex, and justify will be set to totally center, and items will be totally set to center. Margin for our top will be set to this arbitrary value, which we are going to be providing right here, like 1 rem. And now it's gonna say that render the workspaces, and we would also need to render our fa plus icon once again and close them. And I'm gonna also specify margin for the right of 2. I'm gonna save this file. So now we are getting the list, and also the workspaces. So now the next thing that we have to do is that we have to introduce another component, which is a model.tsx. And now I'm going to just say like RAFCE inside there, save my file and go to my app, go to the bottom, and here we have to render our model component. Okay, so I'm gonna call that, save my file. Now let me go ahead and go to my model, and the first thing that we would need is that we would need the use store from where? From our store. So let's just go ahead and go to our store file. That's done. Now inside this model, we are going to be destructuring a few things from where? From our use store. And now what are the things that we would need? We would need the is list model open, and also the is workspace model open, and the model name, model emoji, model type, set model name, not emoji but just set a model name, set model emoji right now, handle save model, close list model, close workspace model, and now let me just save there. Now I'm gonna go to the UI and remove that from here and attach my classes. So I'll use like, it's gonna be set to totally fixed, and inset will be set to 0, flex and items will be totally set to center. Justify will be also set to center, background of gray 900, background opacity will be set to 50, and the z index will be set to 50. Inside them we have to define yet another div with the class of background totally white, padding all around will be set to 6, totally rounded large, and the width will be set to 80. And we also have to provide the flex and justify will be in this case set to between, and items totally center MB4. Inside there we have to render our H2. It's gonna have the text of extra large, font of totally bold, and we have to render our content right here. So I'm going to be using like create new and then model type, like what you want to build. And here you can see we're now getting this model, and we are also getting this create new list right here, which is this create new list. So yeah, that's also done. Now underneath there we have to define our button. So I'll use like the button, and the classes will be set to like text of totally gray 600. And when somebody hover over this, we are going to be taking care of that right now. So when somebody hover over there, we are going to be changing the text to gray 900, and the label will be set to this icon. So I'll use like F8 times, and now let's just grab that from our React icons, and now let me just save that. And as soon as I save that, we are now getting this X icon, which is looking cool. Underneath both of them, we have to define our input field. So I'll use like the input field, and the type will be set to text, and here we also have to provide the value, and the value will be set to model name. I'm going to also provide the on change event handler, so when somebody types something inside there, we're going to be firing this function, and it's going to have like set model name, and now we have to provide the event.target.value inside there. Let me just save my file, and the placeholder will be set to this random placeholder. So we're going to be saying like enter, and then the model name, like what you want to build. So I'll write like the model type and then the name. Okay, so now let me just save my file, and here you can see we're now getting like enter the list name. And now underneath there we are going to be also styling this. So I'll use like the class name, make the border and border totally gray of 300, padding all around of 2, totally rounded large, width will be set to totally full, MB will be set to 4, or margin for the bottom will be set to 4. We're getting this cool looking model. And now underneath there we are going to be also defining yet another input. So I'll use the input with the type of text. I'm going to also provide the value. The value is going to take the model emoji, and somebody try to type something inside this. We are going to be firing this function, which is a set model emoji, and let's just provide our event.target.value inside there. I'm going to save this file and provide my placeholder, and here I'm going to say like enter emoji, and this is going to be totally optional. If you want to provide that, you totally can, but you don't have to. I'm going to also provide the class names, and let's just set the to their exact class names. I'm going to go ahead and copy that and place it right here, save my file, and we are also getting this emoji picker, or not emoji picker, but we are also getting this emoji input field. Finally, we have to define our button. So I'll say like button, and when somebody clicks on this button, we are going to be firing this function, which is a handle save, not model, but just a handle save function. And now I'm going to also provide a bit of classes to this. So I'll use like background totally black, text of totally white, pairing for the x-axis of 4, pairing for the y-axis of 2, totally rounded large. I'm going to save this file right now and provide the label as a save. First of all, I'm going to go to the top and provide my event handler on this one. When somebody click on that X icon, that is totally disappear because we have to create that function. So what do we have to do? We have to fire this function, which is a handle close function. And now let me just copy the name of that and define this function right here. So I'll use like cons handle close, and this function will not take any perimeter. If our model type is equals to this list, in that situation we're going to be using close list model and execute there. But if that's not the case, we're going to be also checking like if the model type is equal to the workspace. So in that situation, what do we have to do? Oh my goodness, let's just remove that. In that situation, we have to just close the workspace model and execute that. Now let me just save my file. We would still not be able to see anything. Next, we have to go ahead and define this function. So I'll just go to the top and define there right in here. So I'll use like const handle or handle save. I already copied there to my clipboard, and we are not going to be doing anything crazy, but we only have to fire this handle save model function and execute there. And here you can see we're now getting this model, and which is looking cool. And now underneath there we have to provide a bit of check like return null if the model is not open. So I'll just use like if not is list model open and not is workspace model open, so we're going to be only returning null from there. Okay, so here you can see we're not getting anything, but now we have to just take care of these lists so that we can see them. So what I'm going to do is that's already done. So now let me just go ahead and go to my list and attach my event handlers on them. So when somebody click on this icon, we want to show that model, and when somebody click on this icon, we also want to show that model. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just write like when somebody clicks on there, it's going to be firing this open list model. And now let me just save my file, and if I click on there, here you can see it's going to give us that model. I can also click on this, so it's going to make it disappear. But now if I click on this one, nothing will happen. So which means like we also have to attach the onClick event handler on this button as well. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just write like onClick event handler and render my open workspace model right here. We are still going to be getting this model. If I click on there once again, it will make it disappear. So the final thing that we have to do is that we have to take care of, I'm super excited about this one, we have to take care of the rendering the list and also rendering the workspaces. So now in this case, I'm going to be using a UL, and inside this UL, now we have to iterate over through all of that list that we are getting from this UStore. Okay, so let's just use the .map method on there, and here we have to paste the list and also the index inside there. And what I'm going to do is that, come on, I'm going to paste my li inside there and close there. And first of all, we're going to be passing the index as a key and also pass a few classes. So I'll just provide like pairing all around of 2, and somebody hover over there. So you want to change the background color to this totally CCC, make it totally rounded large, cursor will be set to totally pointer, and the flex and items will be totally set to center. Inside there we have to render over span, and margin for the right will be set to 2, and render over list.emoji inside there. I'm going to be also rendering my list.name, and now if I save there, and if I click on this workspace, and I'm going to just write like, I don't know, coding or something like that, and I'm going to also paste the coding or computer, or why am I getting a shit for a computer? You know what, I'm going to just write like coding COD and choose this icon or emoji, and now if I click on there, here you can see we're now getting this emoji right here. And now if I click on here, it's going to also give us that coding right here. So that's done. I'm going to go to the bottom, and now let's just take care of rendering the workspaces. The process will be exactly the same as the previous one. So I'll use like the UL, and inside there, let's just iterate over through all of workspaces, and we're going to be iterating over through there by using the map method. So let's just take care of the workspace, and we're going to be also getting the index. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pass my li. And for this li, we are going to be passing the index as a key, and the class names will be exactly the same. So when somebody hover over there, we want to change the background color to this CCC and close there. It's going to be totally rounded large, and the cursor will be set to pointer. Flex and items will be set to totally center. And inside there, we have to use our span once again. Margin for the right will be set to 2. And now we are going to be using the workspace.emoji. And finally, let's just use our workspace.name. And oof. There was a lot of typing and a lot of explanation. So I can click on there. Now I can just write like, I don't know, IT or, yeah, IT department of or something like that. Now I'll just write like IT, or I guess that icon would be fine. So if I click on this cell, and here you can see we're now getting this IT department. Now I can also choose this IT from there. Now I'll just write like learn or record the framer motion course or something like that. And now if I click on this add to do, it's going to add that to do right here. It's going to also show us the list, and it's going to also gives us that workspace right here. I can totally change that to like something cool. And if I click on the update, so it's going to update there, and yeah, we can totally delete there. Okay, let me just try that once again. If I click on this list, we would be able to add a new list. So I'll just write like my personal info, and I'm gonna write like me, and this is me. And click on this save, so it's gonna save that right here. And now I can also add a new workspace if I wanted to. So I'll just write like programming or something like that, or day in the life of programmer. Or you can say day in the life of Hussein. So I'll just write like this icon or this emoji, and now if I click on there, it's gonna also add there right here. I can also add more, like let me just write something and add some random emoji like this. Click on the save, so it's gonna add there right here. I can also add a new stuff or workspace other, and I'll just add some random emoji like this. Click on the save, and here you can see it's gonna also add there right here. And now I can definitely choose there. Let me just choose this something. I'm gonna also choose this new workspace and random crap. And if I click on this add to do, and here you can see it's gonna add there right here. You can definitely go ahead and update there, and I can also totally delete there. And that was our super long project of this course. Next, we're going to be building a bit more complex project than this one, so let's get into it. Be careful who you trust, Sergeant. People you know can hurt you the most. Ghost. So let's start working on our project. So I'm gonna go ahead and open my terminal. I'll zoom in a bit so you guys can see everything a bit better. And now I'm gonna be using an npm create with latest, and I'll give it the name of advanced quiz app or something like that. I'll choose React.js and also TypeScript, and now let's just go into the advanced quiz app and install every single thing inside there. Then successfully installed, so I'll also install the Zustand by using npm install or iZustand. So that's also installed. I'm gonna open that in my VS Code, and this is how it looks like. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the public folder, go to the src, remove the ss folder, the app.css, remove every single thing from the app.tsx, save this file. And now I'm gonna also go ahead and go to the index.css file, remove every single thing from there, and I'm gonna be using npm run dev. I'm not going to. First of all, we have to make a set of 4 or Tailwind CSS as well. So let's just go to the Tailwind CSS, choose framework and guides, go to the Vite, and copy this command, open my terminal once again, and now we are going to be installing a Tailwind CSS inside our project. I'm going to also hit enter, so it's going to initialize Tailwind CSS inside my project. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to my Tailwind config and remove this content from there and replace it with this new one like so. Save our file. And I'm gonna also go ahead and copy all of these CSS, so I'll just go in there, place this, save my file, and now I'm gonna also copy this h1, go to my app, and place that right here, save my file, and let's just use the npm run dev. I'm gonna go back and run that. Now let me go ahead and go to my localhost, and yep, this is working a-okay. So which means like now we successfully created a setup for our coding journey. Now let's start working on our store. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a folder with the name of store. Inside there we're going to be creating a file with the name of use quiz store.ts file, and inside this one the first thing that we would do is that we're going to be grabbing the create function from the Zustand library. Now underneath that we have to define our use quiz store hook, and it's going to be equal to this create function which we are now grabbing from the Zustand. And now we are going to be passing our callback function to there, and our callback function will take that set method. Okay, so we're going to be doing a lot of stuff, but first of all we have to create our interfaces so that we can annotate our create function on there. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to define my type with the name of question, and here for this question, so it's going to take a question and that's going to be a string. It's going to also take the options, and that's going to be a string of array, and also we are going to be passing the correct answers, and here is going to be set to a number. Now that's the first thing that we have to do. Next we have to define our interface, so I'll just use like interface. I'm going to give it the name of like quiz stat, and here inside there we are going to be passing the current question first of all, and that's going to be set to a number. We are going to be also passing answers. It's going to be either a number or null value of array, okay, like that. And now we should not have to provide this comma. Now we have to provide the score, so I'll use like the score, and score will be set to a number. Then show score is going to be a boolean value, and then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to provide my question, and then that question will be that interface which we just created right here. Okay, that's done. Now underneath there we have to provide the select, and it's going to take the option index as a parameter, and we have to annotate that as a number. Now we are going to be returning the white from there. Now let's just write our next question, and here we're going to be only returning the white from there like so. We also have to provide the previous question, and for the previous question we're going to be returning the void. And also for the reset quiz rather, so I'll just write like reset quiz, and here it's going to be just a function which will just return the void. Now let me just save my file, and that's going to be it for our quiz state. So I'm going to copy the name of them, and now I'll annotate my create function by using that quiz state. So I'll just close them. And now inside there, first of all, we are going to be defining our current question, and it's going to be set to 0. We're going to be also providing our answers, and the answers will be array of 3 answers, and we're going to be filling them with null value like so. Now underneath there, we also have to provide the initial value for the score, and it's going to be set to a 0. We also have to write like show score, and the initial value will be set to false. I'm going to be placing a lot of questions right here. And if you want to use my question, you can definitely go ahead and go to my GitHub repository. But if you want to use your own one, so yeah, you can definitely provide your own ones. So here you can see I have this questions array, and inside there I have a few objects. So inside each object I have a question like what does the CSS stand for, and also we have a few options. So you gotta just figure out like what's gonna be the correct option. And here you can see we are also providing the correct answer as well, and the correct answer is 2, 0, 1 and 2. So cascading style sheet is the correct answer. So yeah, here you can see I have a lot of questions which I already set up. So I'm gonna just collapse there right here, just like there. Now I'm gonna work on my function, so I'll use like select answer. Come on, select answer, and that's gonna be just set to this function, and I'm gonna just close there like so. I'm gonna duplicate that like a few times and change the name of that to like the next question, and also this one to be the previous question, and this one will be set to a reset question. Come on, reset quiz rather. So I'll use like the reset quiz. I'm gonna save my file, but we are still getting this error. I don't know why. You know what, we're going to be taking care of this error in a few seconds, but now let's just start working on our select answer function. So for this select answer, it's gonna take an option index, and now we have to provide them. Or you know what, we're not going to be providing these curly braces, so I'll just use my set method, and it's going to take a state, and inside there we are going to be using a curly braces right here. So first of all, we have to make a clone of all of our answers, so I'll use like dot 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 and then state dot answers, and now we have to store them in some sort of a variable, so I'll use like answers. It's going to be equal to this clone. Next we have to save the selected answer for the current questions, so I'll use like the answers, and here we have to specify the state dot current questions is going to be equals to this option index. Now underneath there we have to just return our answers, and this is going to be it for the select answer. That's done. Now let me take care of this next question. So inside there we're not going to be providing any curly braces today, so I'll use the set method, and here we have to specify the state, and for this state we are going to be using the curly braces. So first of all, we have to get like const is last question. We have to check like whether it is a last question or not. So we're going to be using like state dot current question if that is equals to the state dot questions dot length and length minus 1, which means like this gonna gives us the last question. And now underneath there we have to provide our checks. So I don't know why I'm getting these errors, so I'll just cut that from here, and you know it's gonna just remove a few errors. And now we have to provide our check, so I'll just use like if we have the last question. So in that situation we're going to be setting the score to 0, and now we have to loop through the question and compare the answers. So how are we going to be doing them? We're going to be using a state.questions. Now for these questions we are going to be using the for each, so that we can iterate over through them. So now I'm going to be passing a question as a parameter, and we are going to be also passing an index as a parameter. Inside there I'm going to be checking if the state.answers, and here we have to specify that index, if that is equal to the questions dot correct answer. So in that situation we're going to be only incrementing the score. But if that's not the case, so now underneath there we have to show the score and stop the quiz. So I'll just return the show score. Come on, the show score. Oh my god, show score, and here we have to set there to true, and also we have to return the score. We have to move to the next question, so we are going to be returning the current question, current question, and then that's going to be equals to the state dot current question plus 1. So now let me just save my file. So this is how we are going to be moving into the next question. And now let me just hide that from here, just like that. Now let's start working on this previous question. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them and use the set method. And for this set method, it's going to take a state as a parameter, and inside there we're going to be getting the current question. God damn it, what the hell was that? We're going to be getting the current question, and now for this current question we're going to be getting the maximum width. So I'll use like math.max, and here we have to use the state dot current question minus 1. So it's going to give us the last question. And then we have to provide a 0 for the accumulated value. So that's done. And finally, we have to create our reset quiz function. It's going to just basically reset our entire quiz. So I'm going to be using a set, and here what do we have to do? I'm going to just use this curly braces and the current question. Let's just write a current question, and the current question will be set to 0. The answers will be set to array 3 and fill them with null values. And also we are going to be providing a score, and the score will be set to 0. And the show score, show score will be also set to false. Now this is how we are going to be creating our state. I'm going to also go ahead and annotate that with this quiz state. So I'll just annotate that with this quiz state, and finally we have to export this so we can use that in other files. So I'm going to be using like export default, then use quiz store. This is save our file. But why in the world we are getting this error? And I just realized that I only made this single mistake. I have to provide this s, and as soon as I do that, here you can see all of their errors are now successfully gone. So yeah, you have to provide this s with these questions, and this is how we are going to be defining our quiz store. That's done. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my src and define a components folder. So I'll use like the components, and inside there we have to define a few components. So I'm going to be first of all creating a quiz layout.tsx. I'm going to be also creating a sidebar.tsx, and also the question, question.tsx would be fine. Now let me go ahead and go to my quiz layout, and I'm going to be using RAFC inside the sidebar, and also RAFC inside the question. So you know what, let's just start working on our quiz layout. And I'm gonna also go ahead and go to my app and register that right here. So I'll just remove that and render my quiz layout. So let's just use our quiz layout and render that right here. Now let me go ahead and go to my quiz layout. And the first thing that I would do is that I'm going to specify the classes. So class will be set to flex and height will be set to totally screen. Remove them and render my sidebar inside there and close there. Now underneath there we have to define a div with the class of flex of 1, and also flex, and flex will be set to totally column. Items will be set to center, and justify will be set to center, and inside there we have to render our question and close there. And now as soon as I do that, here you can see we're now getting this layout where we have our question and also our sidebar. Let's just go ahead and go to our sidebar and start working on our sidebar. So what do we have to do? First of all, we have to import the use quiz, or you know what, we are going to be importing the use quiz store. This is how we are going to be doing them. Next we have to destructure a few things from there. So we are going to be destructuring them from the use quiz store. So what are the things that we would need? We would need the questions and also the current question inside this component. Now let me go ahead and go to my UI, and first of all we are going to be attaching the class, and the class will be set to width 1/4 and also background gray of 100. Padding all around will be set to 4. Inside there we have to use our h2, and then the text will be set to extra large. Margin for the bottom will be set to 4, and we're going to be saying like quiz progress. Underneath there we have to create our UL, and for this UL we're going to be iterating over through all of our questions which we are now getting from this store. So you know, let me just show you there. We're going to be iterating over through all of their questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be using the map method, and on this map method we don't need the data, but we only need the index. So now inside there we have to use our li, and for each li we are going to be specifying the key, and the key will be set to this index. And I'm going to be attaching the class name, and margin for the bottom will be set to 2. Flex and items will be set to center. There we go. Inside there we have to render our React icons. So I'm going to go ahead and install the npm i react icons. So it's going to install the inside my project. Now that's successfully done, so I'm going to be using npm run dev once again. Now we can use the fa check circle. So it's going to give us that fa check circle. Now we can specify our classes totally dynamically. So margin for the right will be set to 2, and here we have to render our classes totally dynamically. So if our index by which we are now iterating over through is less than or equal to the current question, so in that situation we're going to be changing the text to totally green of 500. But if that's not the case, we are going to be setting that to text gray of 400. So now let me just save my file, and now underneath there we have to define our span. So I'll use like question, and here we have to just render our index plus 1, and that's going to be it. So now let me just save my file, and here you can see we are now getting all of our questions, and we don't have any buttons, so we can increment through there. We will see that in a few seconds, but there was at about 4. our quiz sidebar. Now let me go ahead and go to my questions, and inside there we are going to be doing craziness. So first of all, we are going to be importing our use quiz store. Inside there we are going to be destructuring a lot of things, so I'll just destructure there right away. So I'll use like not the use stat but the use quiz store and execute there. And from this use quiz store we're going to be getting all of the questions, the current question, the select answer, the answers, and also the next question, previous question, and the show score, and just a score, and also the reset quiz. That's done. I'm gonna save my file, and now we have to use the inside our UI. Now let me go ahead and go to my UI, and here I'm gonna provide the class names, and this is provide our width first of all, and we're going to be also attaching the padding, and padding will be set to 6 all around. Provide our h3, and it's gonna say like text will be set to 2xl. The font will be set to semi-bold, and inside there we have to render our question like so. So let's just use our question. That's gonna be it. I'm gonna also go ahead and go there, and first of all we're going to be making a question. So how are we going to be doing that? We're going to be getting all of our questions, and from these questions we want to get the current question out of there, and I'm gonna store them inside the question variable, and that's gonna be it. I'm gonna also get the current answer, so I'm gonna just use that same technique and provide my current question inside there, and now we are going to be storing them inside the current answer, or yeah, answer would be fine. Now let me just save my file and go to my UI once again, and here I'm going to be using h3 with the classes of text to excel, and the font will be set to semi bold, and here we have to use our question, which means like now we are getting this question, and we are now getting a specific current question out of there. And here you can see we're now getting there like what does CSS stand for. Now underneath there we have to provide our options, so I'll just use like a div with the class of margin for our top will be set to 4, and now here we have to use our question dot options, and now let's just iterate over through all of our options. So I'm going to be using like and provide my index inside there, and here inside there we have to use our div once again and provide my key, and the key will be set to that index. I'm going to also specify the class name, and margin for the y-axis will be set to 2. Inside there we have to provide our label, and for this label we're not going to be providing any HTML4 today, so I'll just use like the class name, and the class names will be set to flex, and items will also be set to center. And inside this label we have to define our input field with the type of radio, and also we are going to be attaching the name, so the name will be set to this random name. Okay, so we are going to be attaching that totally dynamically. So I'll use like question, and here we have to attach our current question, not answer but current question inside there. We also have to provide the check stat. So for the check stat we're going to be checking like if the current answer is equal to this index, which we are now getting from this iteration right here, and then when somebody try to type something inside there or change something inside there, we're going to be firing this function which is a handle select, and here we have to specify, come on, the handle select, and here we have to specify our index inside there, which we are going to be creating in a few seconds. And I'm going to also specify margin for the right of 2. Now let me just save my file, and now underneath there we also have to render for each option. So I'm going to be using like option, and now let me just comment this line out, and here you can see we're now getting like what does CSS stand for, and you can now choose your answers from here. So you know what, let me just create this function right away. So I'm going to copy the name of there and go to the top, and here we're going to be defining our function. So I'll use like const and then handle select, and here it's going to take the option index, and we have to annotate that with any because we don't know. And now inside there we are going to be using the select answer and provide my option index inside there. That's done. I can choose like cascading style sheet. It will now allows us to select there. Underneath there we have to create our buttons. So what am I going to do underneath this one? I'm going to be defining yet another div, so I'll just give it the class of margin for a top of 6. Inside there we have to get our current question, not answer but current question, and if that is greater than 0 then we want to show this UI, but if that's not greater than 0 then we don't want to show this button or this UI. So I'll just use a button, and here it's going to say like previous, and now we are going to be attaching these classes to it. So I'll use like margin for the right of, padding for the x-axis of 4, padding for the y-axis of 2, background gray of 500, and we also have to provide the text of probably white today, rounded, and when somebody hover over there we want to change the background to gray of 600, and also when somebody clicks on there we're going to be firing this function. So when somebody clicks on there, this is create our previous question function right here. So previous question, there we go. I'm gonna save this file, and we cannot see that button because we have to select some sort of answer. then it will show us that UI. So that's also done. Now underneath this div, we're going to be also creating our next button. So to do that, we're going to be first of all checking like if we have the current question, if our current question is less than the questions.length minus 1. Come on, length minus 1, which means like it's going to give us the last question. So it should be questions rather than just a question singular. Okay, so if that's the case, so we're going to be using this UI. But if that's not the case, then we're going to be providing this UI. So I'll just use like these React fragments and close them. And now let's just take care of this first UI. So I'm going to go ahead and create my button. And inside this button, I'm going to say like next. And now let me just attach my classes to there. So I'll just use like class names. Pairing for the x-axis will be set to 4. Pairing for the y-axis will be set to 2. Background blue 500. Text totally white. Rounded. When somebody hover over there, so change the background to totally blue of 600. And when somebody clicks on there, then fire this function. So I'll just use like when somebody click on there, we're going to be firing the next question function. And here you can see we are now getting our next question. I can choose like a scaling style sheet and click on there. And here you can see it's going to bring us to the next question. But this UI is looking awful. Yeah, I gotta give you that one. UI is looking super awful. But anyways, now let's just take care of this fragment. So I'm going to just remove there and change that to this button. I'm going to be providing a submit. And now let's just attach our on click event handler. And let's just provide our handle submit function to there. So handle, come on, handle submit function, which we are going to be creating in a few seconds. And now let me just also providing our class names. Pairing for the y-axis will be set to 2. Background green of 500. Text totally white and rounded. When somebody hover over this, we want to change the background to totally green of 600. This is our file, copy the name of there and define our function at the top right here. So I'll just create a simple function which will be a handle submit, and inside there we are going to be only using the next question like so. And yeah, we can now definitely go ahead and go to the next question. I can choose the cascading style sheet and click on there. It's going to bring us to this next question. It's going to also gives us that question 2 right here. So what does HTTP stand for? HTTP stand for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And now let me just choose there. Which language is primarily used for the web scraping or scripting rather, not scraping. So I'm going to choose JavaScript and click on the next. And what does SQL stand for? So structured query language like so. And finally, what is the main function of the web server? To serve the web pages to the client. Next, and which company developed the Java programming language? Sun Microsystems. So now let me just click on the next one. And what is the purpose of a title tag in HTML? To create a new section to define the title of the web page. Yep. Click on the next one. What does API stand for? So application programming interface. There we go. I'm going to choose there. And what is the purpose of database index? Create a backup and click on the next one. Finally, which protocol is commonly used to secure communication over the internet? HTTPS. Submit there. Oh, we cannot see the result because okay, we cannot see the result. I don't know why, but there might be something wrong. And you know what the problem was? The problem was super awful. Here we also have to create a separate page for that. We are not going to be using a React router, but we are going to be checking like if we have the show score. So in that situation, we are going to be returning this UI. Okay, so first of all, we are going to be returning our div, and this div will have the same width. So let's just provide that 3 and 4, and pairing all around will be set to 6 inside them. Let's just use our h2, and here we are going to be providing like text of 2XL, and the font will be set to semi-bold. It's gonna say like your score. Now let me just save my file, and here you can see we're now getting our your score. And also now underneath there we have to create a paragraph which will have margin for a top of 4 and text of totally large, and it's gonna say like you scored this amount. So let's just render our score out of these questions. So I'll use like questions dot length. Okay, so I'm gonna save my file, and here you can see it's gonna give us like my score. Finally, we can also restart our question. So I'll use like the button, and here we can use our, you know what, let's just write our restart quiz. There we go. And we can also specify our classes. So margin for top will be set to 6, pairing for the x-axis of 4, pairing for the y-axis of 2, background totally blue of 500, and text will be set to totally white, rounded, and when somebody hover over there, so let's just change the background color to totally 600. And now let me just save my file, and here you can see we're now getting this button. and when somebody clicks on this button, so I'll use like on click. So we just want to reset the quiz like so. So if I click on there, here you can see it's going to give us all of their questions back. So I can choose different kind of questions like totally randomly. It's going to give us all of their questions right here. Okay, and finally it's going to show us our score. So I'm just choosing random ones right here. So it's going to give us like I only score 1 out of 10. We can also restart our quiz. Yep, that's cool. And you know what? I'm going to also make that as a flex. So I'll use like, you know, if I hide there, I'm going to cut that from here, like this entire thing. Let me just cut that from here, go to my margin top, and now we have to provide that right in here. Save my file. If I click on that, yeah, that's looking better. Now we are getting our previous button and also our next button right here. So finally, let me just click on the submit. And yeah, this is how we are going to be creating our quiz app. I will shred this universe down to its last atom. And then with the stones that you've collected for me, create a new one. It is not what has been lost, but only what has been given. A grateful universe. Yeah, that was a small little Thanos voice. I am going to do that, like I am going to destroy this entire universe, like shred them all, and then I'm going to create a new universe. There will be only React developers. Nobody else is allowed in my universe. So now let's just make a setup for our final boss. And here I'm going to be making it, let me just make that a bit bigger so you guys can see everything a bit better. And then I'm going to just use npm create and then read at latest. Watch store will be the name of my project. I'm going to choose React.js and TypeScript. Let's just go into the watch store. And now let me just use npm i to install all of the packages. That's done. I'm going to also install Zustan by using npm install Zustan. And now let's just install them. Then successfully done. Now let me go ahead and search for the Tailwind CSS. And now I'm going to click on there. Go to the framework and guides. And now I'm going to go to the Vite and copy this command. I'm going to open my VS Code by using code dot. Let me just zoom in a bit. And the first thing that I want to do is that I want to install the Tailwind CSS inside my project. So now let me just place this command. I'm going to also hit enter, so it's going to initialize my Tailwind CSS. And now I'm going to remove the public folder. Let's just go ahead and go to the src and remove the assets folder, the app.css folder, and remove every single thing from the app.tsx file. I'm going to go into the index.css, remove every single thing from there. And I'm going to copy this content, just a content. And now let me go ahead and go to my Tailwind config file and replace that with this new one. I'm going to also copy there and place that right here. And also, let me just test this out. So I'm going to copy there and replace it with this dev. I'm going to use npm run dev, so that's going to run there. Let's just test this out by going into our local host. And yeah, it is working the way we expect him to work. There are also a few things that I want to add in this src folder. Okay, so first of all, we are going to be adding the db file, and then we are going to be also adding this assets file. Inside this assets folder, we have a lot of images. Okay, so which we are going to be using inside this project. And if you want to use these same images, you can definitely go ahead and go to my GitHub repository and copy all of the styles from there. Now let me show you this data.js file. Okay, so here we are just importing all of our images right here, and then we have our actual data. So this data will be our array, and inside this array we will have a few objects. So inside each object is going to have the ID, the image, like the black image, brown image, red image, and also the white image. And we will also provide some sort of a title to them, and also the pricing, company, and the country. Okay, so we have a lot of data, and you are more than welcome to add more data to there if you wanted to. So yeah, now let me just close there, and that was our entire setup. Now let's start working on our store. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a folder with the name of store, and inside there we are going to be creating a file with the name of store.ts. Inside there we are going to be importing the create function from where? From our Zustan library. That's going to be the first thing. Now I'm going to place a few interfaces right here, and if you care about these interfaces, you can definitely go ahead and go to my GitHub repository and copy these interfaces from there. So basically we are just creating our product state and also setting the product image, and when somebody hover over the product, and initializing the product. Then we are creating a filter state, and for this filter set we're going to be providing the selected country, the selected color, selected price range, and now we are just creating a functions for them. That's done. Now let's just start working on our use product store hook. So I'm going to go ahead and just export there right away, and now let's just create our use product and then store, and it's going to be equals to this create function, and now we are going to be annotating there with our product state and close there. Now here we are going to be defining the set method, And inside this set method, let's just start working on there. So I'm going to just provide like the product states, and here for this product state we're going to be setting there to empty object. Now we are going to be also defining our function for setting the product image. So I'm going to use like set product, and it's going to be taking the parameter of product ID, not this one but product ID, and also the image itself. Now inside there we are going to be using the set method, and this set method will take the state as an object, or not object but as a parameter. What the hell am I saying today? So inside there, first of all, we are going to be using our product state, and our product state will be coming from our state, come on, state dot product state, like so. And now we are going to be adding our new product to this. So I'll just use like product ID, and that's going to be equals to this dot dot dot. Let's just clone our existing state dot product states, and here we're going to be providing our product ID to there. We would also need to specify our current image. Okay, so for this current image we're going to be providing our image to there, which we are now taking as a parameter, and now we are passing there to our current image. So that's going to be it for setting the product image. So I'm going to collapse there. Now underneath there we are going to be creating a function for set product hover. So when somebody hover over our product, so what do you want to do in that situation? You just want to write like product ID and also the hover. So now inside there we are going to be using our state once again, set method, and provide our state to them. And here inside there we're going to be getting like the product state, and that product state will have the object. And now we are going to be getting there by using the state dot product state. And now once again we have to specify our product ID, which we are now taking as a parameter. And now we have to set that to, first of all we have to clone our existing product dot state, and here we have to specify that product ID. And then we are going to be providing our hover state to there, which we are also taking as a parameter. And that's also done. I'm going to also collapse there. Next we have to provide our initialized product. Okay, so I'm going to use like initialized product, and for that it's going to also take the product ID and also the initial image, not infinity but god damn it, product ID and also the initial image. And here we are going to be using that set method once again and provide our state to them, and we are going to be using that same exact syntax. And now let me just provide like, first of all, make a clone of our state, and then product state, god damn it, product state. And now here we are going to be also providing our product ID to them, which we are now taking as a parameter, and that's going to be set to our current image, and our current image will be set to this initial image. So I'm going to copy that and place it right here, provide a comma, and for the hover set we're going to be setting that to false. That's totally done. And now we have to collapse there. The next thing that we have to do is that we have to create yet another hook. So let's just use like export cons and then use filter store, because we are going to be also filtering our products. So I'm going to just provide the create function, and we have to annotate there with our filter state and close there. Inside this one we are going to be providing our state, and here we are going to be first of all providing the selected country, and the initial value will be set to empty string, well, like just array. And also we are going to be providing the selected color, and it's going to be also set to not countries, what the hell. So here inside there we are going to be providing the selected country, not color but countries, like so. And the initial value will be set to empty array. We are going to be also providing the selected color, and it's going to be also set to this empty array. And now for the selected price range, the initial value will be set to no. And now let's just provide our function to there. So now underneath there we are going to be using like set selected country. So it's going to allow us to select our country and filter there. So here we are going to be passing our countries like that. And now we have to use the set method, and for this set method we're going to be providing the selected countries. We have to set there to this countries, which we are now taking as a parameter, and now we have to specify them right here. I'm going to also provide a comma there, and now we have to use the set selected colors in this case. And now it's going to take a colors as a parameter, and inside there we are going to be once again using our set method, and here we have to specify our selected colors. And now we are going to be setting there to this colors, which we are now taking as a parameter. That's also done. I'm going to also specify a comma there. Now let's just create a function for the select price range, and for this selected price range is going to take a range as a parameter. And now we are going to be using their set method once again, and here we have to use the selected price range and provide the range, which we are now taking as a parameter right here. I'm going to also provide a comma. Now we have to finally create a clear filters function, and inside this clear filters function we are going to be using this set method once again. And now we are going to be just clearing out every single thing. So I'll use like clear countries, and we have to set there to empty object, well, like empty array. And also for the selected colors we have to set there to empty array. And finally for the selected price range we have to set that to null. That's also done. So this is what we have to do right now. And if you want to copy these interfaces, you can definitely go ahead and go to my GitHub repository. And yeah, this is how we are going to be creating our hooks for our project, and that's it. Okay, so now let's get into our UI, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a folder for the components like them, and inside there we are going to be creating three components. First of all, we are going to be creating a component for the navigation in navigaton.tsx, and also the product card.tsx, and also the sidebar.tsx. I'm gonna go ahead and just write the RAFC inside this component, RAFC inside that component, and also RAFC inside the sidebar. Now let me just go ahead and go to my app and register my sidebar right here. First of all, we are going to be using the sidebar and close there. And now inside this sidebar, we are going to be calling our navigation component. So I'll just use like navigation and close there. And now let's get into the navigation component and start working on there. So for this navigation component, we are not going to be doing anything crazy. I'm going to provide the class names, and margin for the top will be set to 2 rem. And also it's going to be set to container width will be set to 90%, and I'm going to also provide margin for the left of 5 frames, close them, and it's going to be set to totally flex, and justify will be set to totally between TWEEN, and items will be also set to totally center. Inside this div we have to define our h1 for our logo, so I'll just provide a class of logo, and inside this h1 we are going to be rendering our io, or you know what, we first of all have to install our icons. So I'll just stop there, and I'm going to be using npm I and react icons, so it's going to install there inside this project. So that's done. I'm going to use npm run there one more time, so it's going to run there. Inside there we have to use our io filter outline. Okay, let's just grab there and close there, and here we have to specify the size, and the size will be set to 27. And also we are going to be providing the class names, and the class name will be set to margin for the left of, and cursor will be set to pointer. Now let me just save my file. That's also done. Now underneath this h1 we are going to be defining our navigation. So inside this navigation we have to provide our ul. It's going to have the class of flex, and also the items will be set to totally center, and margin for the right will be an arbitrary value. So I'll just write like 2 rem and close there. Spaces on the x-axis will be set to 4, and inside this ul we have provided our li, and we have provided like search, help, and also my accounts like so, or just account would be fine. And now underneath this navigation we're going to be also rendering our io bag outline, and here we have to close there and provide the size of 24 to there. Now let me just save my file and test this out. So here you can see this is how our navigation looks like. We're going to be also taking care of this icon in a few seconds, but yeah, that's looking cool. Now let's start working on our product card. So first of all we have to go ahead and go to our app and grab all of the data. So I'm going to go ahead and just import the data from where, from, let's just go into our db file, and inside there we have our data.js file. Okay, so now if I log that to the console, so I'll just use the data, save my file, and now I'm going to go ahead and go to my console, and we are now getting this array, and inside this array we have all of our data, which is looking cool. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to cut this sidebar from here, and I'll just use the React fragments, and inside these React fragments I'm going to paste my sidebar, and now underneath this sidebar we're going to be creating a div with the class of pairing. All around will be set to 4, flex, and the flex will be set to wrap, and justify will be set to totally center, and items will also be set to totally center. Inside there we have to render our product card. Okay, so I'm gonna just render there right here. I'm gonna provide the product as a prop, and their product will be all of their data. So now let me go ahead and go to my product card, and I'm going to destructure there right here. So I'm going to use like product, and the first thing that I want to do is that I want to log that to the console. So I'll use like console.log, and data coming from the product, product card .js file or tsx file, and I'm going to render all of that product right here, save my file. Now let me just open my terminal and close their Tailwind CSS, go into the console. Now let me just refresh there, and yeah, we are now getting all of their data, which is looking cool. The next thing that I want to do is that I want to remove them, and here you can see we're also getting our product card. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to define an interface for that. So I'll just go to the top and define the interface. So I'll just use like the interface and product, and inside there we have to provide the ID, and the ID will be set to string. The title will also be set to string. Okay, so let's just provide our string, and also the price will be set to a number, and also I'm going to provide the image, and for this image we're going to be providing a black, and black will be a string, and we have to just provide that as a property. And here for the key will be set to a string, and also outside from there it's going to be set to a string. Now I'm going to define yet another interface, so I'll just use like interface, and I'm going to give it the name of like product card props or something like that. And inside this interface we are going to be setting the product and their product which we just defined up above, like this one. So I'm going to copy the name of them, and now let me just annotate my products with this product right here, not like this but this. So now let me just save my file, and this is what we have to do right now. The next thing that we have to do is that we have to go to the top and grab our store. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the top and use the use product store, grab there. I'm going to copy the name of there. Now we are going to be destructuring a lot of things from there, so I'll just use like cons and then the destructuring syntax. And now it's going to be equals to this use product store. Okay, so inside there we are going to be first of all destructuring the product state and also the set product image, not hover but set product image, like this one. And I'm going to also destructure the set product hover when somebody hover over there, and also the initialize product. I'm going to save this file. Now we have to define our global variables which we are going to be using inside this component. So I'll use like product state. It's going to be equals to this product state once again, which we are now destructuring from our store. And here we have to specify this product dot id, which we are going to be getting from this product from our entire database. So it's going to be either set to this data or it's going to be set to empty object in some situation. Okay, so I'll also grab the current image, and it's going to be equals to the product state. Come on, product state, and we are going to be getting the current property from there, the current image property. If that's not the case, we are going to be getting the product.image.black. Okay, so now let me just save my file, and now we are going to be also creating a variable for the hover. So when somebody hover over this, we are going to be getting there from the product state dot hover. If that's not the case, we are going to be initially setting there to false. I'm going to also create a state for the images, and it's going to be equals to the object dot values, and here we have to specify the product dot image. I'm going to save my file right now. Now underneath there we have to initialize the state when the component first renders, so which means like we are going to be performing the side effect. So I'm going to be using the use effect for there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to provide a comma there, and here we have to specify the product dot id and also the product dot image dot black and also the initial product right here. Okay, so what we have to do inside there, we are going to be providing our initial product, and now here we have to specify the product dot id and also the product dot image dot black. I'm going to save my file right now like this. Now let's start working on our UI. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and provide a classes today. So I'll use like this, going to be set to relative, and width will be set to 20 rem, and also margin all around will be set to 1 rem, and border will be set to this color which is a EC like this. And I'm going to also close there. Margin for the left will be set to 3 rem and also close there. Padding all around will be set to 4. And now inside this div, what do we have to do? Or you know what, first of all, we are going to be also attaching the event handler on there. Or you know what, we are going to be doing there in a few seconds, but now let's just take care of the UI. I'm going to define another div with a class of relative, and also background will be set to totally gray of 200. Pairing all around will be set to 4, and inside this div we're going to be working with our image. So for the image, which will be coming from the current image, and here for the alternative text we're going to be also providing the product dot title like so. And now let me just save there. Here we also have to specify the class names, so I'm going to use like object cover, and width will be set to 12 rem like this, and height will also be set to 12 rem and close there. Rounded tall medium, and margin for the left will be set to 1 rem and close there. And now if I just refresh there, we are getting some sort of error. So not this one, we have to go ahead and go to our inspect element, and guess what, we are getting some sort of error like cannot read the property of undefined reading the black. And I figure out the solution. So here you can say I'm now logging to the console this product, and now if I show you there, if I go ahead and go to my console, and here you can see we are now getting these errors, and we are now getting our data. But look at our data, we are now working with the array, and inside this array we have our objects. And now what am I doing? I'm just accessing that image directly from all of our images, and that's not allowed, which means like we have to iterate over through all of our data, and then we would be able to access the image and also that black property from there. So what do we have to do? I'm gonna go ahead and go to my app, and here I'm gonna iterate over through all of our data, and then we're going to be passing our data like so. So I'll just use like first of all my data, and did I give it the name of data? Yes, I did. And I'm going to be using a map method right here, and for this map method it's going to take up, and now inside there we have to render our product card. Now I'm going to copy the name of this product and place it right here, and we are going to be also providing a key, and that key will be set to product.id. I'm gonna save my file right now, and here you can see we are now getting all of our products, and now we are getting all of our amazing images, which means like everything is working the way we expect him to work. So when somebody hover over our image, so what do you want to do in that situation? So I'll write like hover, and inside there we are going to be creating a div. It's going to be an absolute, and also the inset will be set to 0, flex and items will be set to totally center, justify will be between, and pairing for the x-axis will be set to 4. So inside this div, let me just go back. We are going to be creating a button, and this button will have a few classes. So first of all, I'm going to render my icon, which will be FA. This I can't even pronounce the name of this. So chevron left or something like that. FASHEVRON left. And now let me just grab there and close there. We are going to be also providing a class name. Background will be set to gray of 300 and totally rounded full. Now let me just save my file, and here we also have to provide a bit of classes today. So I'll say like carousel button, and also text will be set to totally white. Save this file, and now if I hover over there, let me just refresh there. If I hover over there, nothing will happen because we also have to provide the on click event handler today. And now I'm going to also duplicate this button and change the name of that to the right. So I'm going to change that to right and hit enter. So it's going to also import there, and everything else would be the same. And now if I hover over them, nothing will happen. Now let me go ahead and go to my div, and here on this div we have to provide our own mouse enter, and here we have to call this function, which will be set product hover, and here we have to provide our product.id and also true to there. And when somebody leave the mouse, so let's just provide like on mouse leave, we're going to be still calling this function like set product hover, and here we have to specify the product.id and set there to false. I'm gonna save this file, and now if I hover over there, here you can see we are now getting these icons. So now let me just zoom in a bit, and here if god damn it, and here if I hover over there, we are now getting these icons, which is looking cool. So I'm gonna go back, and now let's just start working on the rest of the UI. I'm gonna also provide all of their titles and stuff. So now underneath this div, we're going to be creating another div with the class of margin for top, and here for the top margin we're going to be providing one rem to there, like so. Now I'm going to be using h2, and here we have to render our product dot title. Underneath there we also have to create a paragraph, and this paragraph will allow us to render our price. So I'll use like product dot price. And now let me just save my file, and here you can see we're now getting the product image, the product title, and also its price. So yeah, that was our product card. And now let's get into our sidebar. Not so fast, not so fast. First of all, we also have to attach the event handlers on this button and also on this one. So what I'm going to do is that when somebody clicks on this button, we want to fire this handle, come on, handle previous function. And when somebody clicks on this button, then we want to fire this handle next function. So now let me just save this file, and now let me go to the top like this. And here we have to define our function. So first of all, we are going to be starting from the handle previous function, and inside this function, what do we have to do? We have to get the images, we have to get the current index. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab the images, and then let's just use the index of and provide our current image inside there. And now we have to store the inside the current index variable. That's done. We also have to get the previous one, so I'm going to be using like the previous index, and it's going to be equals to this current index. I mean, like not the current image, but the current index which we are now getting. Now let me just copy that and place that right here, and we are now going to be getting the last item. Then we are going to be attaching the images dot length. Okay, so now we have to divide there, so it's going to give us the remainder as well, and now we have to divide there by using the images dot length. Okay, so it's going to give us the previous image, and now underneath there, what do we have to do? We have to get the set product image, and now inside there we have to define our product.id and also the images. And now for each images, we're going to be providing our previous index. So now let me just save my file, and this should be index off. There we go. Now I'm going to also go to the bottom, and now let's just start working on the handle next button. So I'll just write like const handle next. And inside this function, what do we have to do? We have to get the current index and so on and so forth. So I'm going to copy there and place that right here. So it's going to give us basically the current index. And now inside there, we have to get the next index. And here is going to be equals to this current index plus 1. And then we have to divide there with the images dot, come on, images dot length. And also we have to use the set product image, not hover, god damn it, set product image. There we go. And here we have to specify the product.id And also on the images, we're going to be providing the next index. Now let me just save my file. And if I hover over there and if I click on this button, so it's going to give us the next item. And now if I click on this one, so it's going to give us the previous item right here. Okay, so which means like it's going to work for all of these images. And they are looking super amazing. So yeah, you can also change there, and that's something which I want to show you. Now let me go ahead and go to the sidebar and start working on this sidebar. So I'm going to go to the top, and here I'm going to be placing these interfaces, and inside this interface we're going to be providing the country, image, and also the price. Now inside this sidebar, I'm going to go ahead and first of all create my states. So I'll use like const is open and then set is open, and it's going to be equals to the use state, and the initial value will be set to false. And here we also have to annotate that as a boolean value. Now underneath that we also have to create one for the country drop down, and it's going to be set to the set country. And now I'm going to set that to the use state, and the initial value will be set to false. And here we have to provide like boolean value as well. Underneath that we also have to create one for the color drop down, and set color drop down, and it's going to be equals to the use state, and the initial value will be set to false. And I'm going to also annotate that as a boolean like so. I'm going to also create one for the price drop down, and then set price drop down, and it's going to be equals to the use state. And here for the initial value we're going to be setting that to false and annotate that as a boolean value. I'm going to save my files. So that's going to be it for our state. And now underneath them we have to go ahead and first of all grab the what do we call it, the use filter store. I'm going to copy the name of the, and now here from this store we're going to be destructuring a lot of things. So I'm going to just use the destructuring syntax, and we have to destructure the selected country, not color but the selected countries, and also this selected price range, set selected country, and also set selected color, set selected price range, and finally we have to grab the clear filters from there. I'm going to save this file, and now we have to use them inside our UI. But before I do that, I'm going to also provide a prop for my navigation, which will be set to toggle sidebar. And here we are going to be passing this toggle sidebar function. I'm going to copy the name of them and register this function right here. So I'm going to use like const toggle sidebar, and here we are going to be only using, oh my god, we are going to be only using the set is open, and change that to not is open, which means like if this is true, it's going to make it false. If it is false, it's going to make it true. I'm going to go into my navigation, and inside this navigation, I'm going to destructure this. So I'm going to be using like toggle sidebar, and here I'm going to create an interface for this. So I'll use like interface, and then navigation props would be fine. And inside there we have to provide our toggler sidebar or toggle sidebar, and we are going to be only returning the white from there. Okay, so let's just close there, and we're going to be returning the white. Now I'm going to copy the name of there and annotate my component like so. Now we have to use this toggle sidebar, so I'm going to just use there right here. So when somebody clicks on there, we're going to be firing this toggle sidebar function. Now here if I click on there, nothing will happen, not right now, because we also have to take care of our navigation. God damn it, sidebar. So let's just go ahead and go to our sidebar and start working on our sidebar. First thing first, we have to start from our sidebar. Okay, so I'll just create a div with a class of a lot of classes. So I'll just create a div, and I'm going to provide a few classes to it, so the classes will be dynamic. I'm going to provide a fix. I'm going to provide a fix, and also top value will be set to 0, the left value will be set to 0, and height will be set to totally full, and width will be set to 80%. So let's just use 80, and background will be set to totally white. Shadow will be also totally large. Okay, and for the transform, we're going to be rendering our content dynamically. So I'll just use like if this is open, so in that situation we want to use the translate value on the x-axis and set that to 0. But if that's not the case, we have to use the minus translate value and set that to totally full. I'm going to save my file right now. This is how it looks like right here. So now outside from there, we're going to be providing a bit of transitions to this. So I'll just use like transition on the transform. Okay, so I'm going to also provide a bit of duration to there, and the duration will be set to 300. Ease in and out, and for the z index it's going to be set to 50. I'm going to save my file right now, and inside there first of all we have to define the header with close button. Okay, so I'll just use a div with a class of flex, and justify will be set to totally between, items will be set to totally center, padding all around will be set to 4, border on the bottom. Inside there, let's just use our h2, and this h2 will have the classes of text totally large and font of semi bold. And I'm gonna pass a filters inside there, and now let me just save my file, and here you can see we are now getting this sidebar right here, and now we are also getting that filters. So now let me just take care of them. So now underneath this filters, we are going to be creating a button, and this button will have the fix. So I'll just use like a fix, and basically this is the icon from the React icons. I'm gonna also provide a bit of class name, so I'll just use like text of totally extra large, and when somebody clicks on there, we are going to be firing that same toggle sidebar function. Okay, so here you can see we're now getting there. If I click on there, it's gonna show us our sidebar, and now if I click on this one, so it's gonna hide there, which means like everything is working the way we expect them to work. And now underneath this div, we have to define our filters, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. So now underneath this comment, we're going to be defining our div with a class of pairing all around of 4, and spaces on the y-axis will be set to 6. Inside there, we have to first of all start from the country. Come on, oh my god, country filter, and then we are going to be taking care of the rest of the stuff. Okay, so I'll use a div. Inside this div, we have to define our button, and for each button, we are going to be attaching flex, and justify will be set to between, items will be set to center, and the width will be set to totally full, text totally left. Inside this button, I'm going to be creating a span which will have the font of medium, and it's going to say country like that. I'm going to save my file, and now underneath them, we also have to render our fi, and that same icon. So it's HVRON, Chiron down or something like that. I can't even pronounce the name of this icon. And now let me provide a bit of class names to them. And here we are going to be rendering our classes dynamically. So let's just use our transform. And if our country drop down, so in that situation, we are going to be using rotate on the 180 degree. But if that's not the case, so we are going to be setting there to empty string. So now let me just save my file. And now if I click on there, here you can see we're now getting this country, but we don't have any content inside there. And by the way, when somebody clicks on this button, we're going to be firing this function. So now let me just use like toggle country drop down. I'm going to save the file. Now let me go ahead and go to the top and define this function right here. I'll just give it the name of like const country drop down. It's going to be equals to this set country drop down and not country drop down, which we already defined right here. So we have this country drop down, and the initial value we specify false today. So if that's true, we're going to be making it false. But if that's false, we're going to be making it true. And now here you can see if I click on that, and if I click on this icon, here you can see it's going to rotate. Or yeah, rotate on the 180 degree. So that's cool. And now underneath this button, we have to render our countries. So I'll just use like country drop down. If that is the case, we want to show this UI. I'll just create a div with a class of margin for a top of 2, and spaces on the y-axis will be set to 2. Inside this div, we have to render our unique countries. So how in the world we are going to be even getting a unique countries? Now let me just go to the top, and here we have to define a unique countries, and that's not going to be a huge case. So we just have to get the unique 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 countries. It's going to be set to array.from, and inside there we have to use the new set. So it's going to only give us the unique stuff, and it's going to remove the duplication. And now inside there we have to specify all of our data, which we are now getting from this data.js file. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the top and import this. I'm going to use like data from let's just go ahead and go to the top, and from our db and data. I'm going to save my file and copy the name of there. Now let me go to the bottom, and here we have to specify our data. Now we are going to be iterating over through our data. So I'll use like the item, and now we are going to be annotating this item with this product. And now here we have used like item.country. God damn it. Oh my god. Item.country. There we go. Oh, I'm doing it wrong. So I'm going to cut that from here, and we have to wrap there another parentheses, and now we can use that. So that's totally done. So now we are getting these unique countries. So I'm going to copy a name of there, and here we are going to be passing it. So I'll use that unique countries like so, and now we have to iterate over through all of their unique countries. So I'm going to get the country and also the index of the country. So inside there, what do we have to do? I'm going to go ahead and just define my div and close there like so. And this div will take a key, and here we have to specify index inside there. And for the class names, I'm going to specify flex, and items will be set to totally center. And when somebody clicks on there, we are going to be firing this function, which is the handle country. Come on, handle country selection. And now we have to specify our country inside there. I'm going to save this file, and we're going to be seeing the result of that in a few seconds, and we're going to be even also creating this function in a few seconds. So now let me just go inside this div, and here we have to specify our input field, and for this input field we're going to be setting that to checkbox. Here we have to provide our checked state. So it's going to be checked if we have the selected country. not color but the selected country dot include that specific country which we are now taking as a parameter. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy a name of that and place it right here, and that's gonna be it. Now underneath this check, we also have to provide the on change event handler, like when somebody change there. So in that situation, we are going to be firing this handle country selection. God damn it! I'm gonna copy a name of that and place that right here and provide our country inside there. And I'm going to also specify the class names, and the class name will be set to margin for the right of 2. Now underneath this input field, we have to define our span, and here we have to render our country inside there. Now let me go ahead and copy a name of that and create this function at the top of our file. So now underneath this unique countries, we're going to be defining like const handle country selection, and here we have to provide the country, and the country will be a string. Inside there, what do we have to do? We have to use our set selected countries, and here we have to provide first of all the selected countries. Now we have to provide the includes method if that includes the country. So in that situation, we are going to be using the selected country. Come on, selected countries, and we have to filter through the selected countries, and now we have to filter through them, and here we only have to specify each country. If that each country does not equal to that country which we are now taking as a parameter, we only want to remove that, like we totally want to ignore that. But if that's not the case, we are going to be first of all making a clone of all of our selected countries, and then we have to specify each country inside there. Now let me just save my file, and that's done. So now let me just refresh there, and if I click on this icon, so it's going to open this sidebar. If I click on this country, it's going to give us all of that unique countries. So it's going to give us Japan, USA, China, India, and so on and so forth. And yeah, I can click on there and nothing will happen because we have to paste this filtering into our app component. So we are going to be doing that in a few seconds. But now let me also take care of the rest of the filtering. Now that's done, I'm going to collapse them. And now underneath this div, we are going to be defining yet another div. And that div will be a color filter, like so, or colors filter rather. So now underneath there, we are going to be defining a div, and inside this div we have to define our button, and this button will take the classes of flex and justify between items totally center and width totally full text to left. Inside there we're going to be defining a span with the class of font medium, and it's gonna say color. I'm gonna also attach the event handler to there, so when somebody clicks on it, we're going to be firing this function which is a toggle color drop down. There we go. And now let me just save my file, and underneath this span we're going to be defining our icons. So I'll use like not this fi chevron drop down. There we go. And I'm going to also specify the classes, and here we have to render our classes totally dynamically. So I'll use like the transform, not the translate but just a transform, and we are going to be rotating there if our color drop down is set to true. Okay, so if that's the case, we are going to be rotating there 180 degree. But if that's not the case, so we are going to be setting there to empty string. Now underneath this button, what do you want to do? We just want to render all of our content. So I'll use like if we have our color drop down, if that is true, then we want to show this UI. So inside this UI, we are going to be iterating over through all of our colors. So I'll use like black, brown, and also the red color and the white color and the golden color like that. Or you know what we're going to be doing there, but first of all we have to create a div with the class of margin for top of 2, spaces on the y-axis of 2, and inside there let's just start working on them. I'm going to use the map method to iterate over through them. I'm going to paste a color inside there, and now here we have to create a div, and now for this div we are going to be passing a key, and the key will be coming from this each color. So I'm going to copy a name of them and place it right here. I'm going to also provide the class names, and the class name will be set to flex, and items will be set to totally center. I don't know why I'm getting this error, but yeah, we are getting this error. I'm gonna have to cut that from here, and now inside there we have to paste it like so. Or you know what, let me just paste them manually. So I'm gonna use like the map, and here we have to paste the color, and now inside there we have to define the div, and this div will have the key, and the key will be that specific color. We're going to be also passing a classes like flex, and items will be set to totally center. When somebody clicks on there, we're going to be firing this function which is a handle color selection, and we are going to be creating this function in a few seconds. Now inside this div, let's just define our input field with the type of checkbox, and now here we are going to be checking that if that's checked or not. So first of all we have to provide the selected color, and if that includes the color, that specific colors, which means like that's checked. Okay, so now let me just save my file, and here we're going to be also passing this on change event handler. Like when somebody try to change them, then we're going to be firing this function which is a handle color selection, and here we're going to be passing that color inside there. I'm going to also provide the class name of margin for the right of 2. Now underneath this input field, we're going to be rendering our span, so I'll use like the span, and here we have to render our color inside there. Now first of all, I'm going to go ahead and create this function, and then we are going to be creating that another one. So now here, let's just create them. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a function with the name of toggle color dropdown, and it's not going to do anything crazy, but here we are going to be only using the set color dropdown, and we have to provide like not color dropdown. Now let me just save my file, and now it's time to create this function, which is and I'm gonna also paste that color right here, and we have to make it as an arrow function like so. Now let me go ahead and go to the top and define this function right here. So what do we have to do? We have to create a function with the name of handle color selection, and inside this gonna take a color as a parameter, and that's gonna be a string. And now inside this function, what do you want to do? We just want to get the set selected colors like so, and here we have to pass our selected color, and if that includes that specific color which we are now passing as a parameter, then what do we want to do? We want to get the selected colors, and we want to provide the filter method on there, and we want to filter out that specific item. So I'm going to pass the C for the color, and if C does not equal to that color which we are now taking as a parameter, then we want to get that specific color. But if that's not the case, we want to make a clone of our existing selected color. So we'll use like the selected colors, and then we have to specify our new color to there like so. And now let me just save my file, and that's totally done. Now if I click on this sidebar and click on the color, so I can now choose different kind of colors right here. You can also specify your own one if you wanted to, but in my case that's going to be it. And I'm making a mistake, so I'm going to also cut the line of code. Now if I click on there, here you can see we're now getting this result, which is looking cool. Now that's done, I'm gonna hide them, and now let's start working on our pricing filters. We'll use like price and then filter, and now here we're going to be defining that same thing like the div, and then the button which will have the classes of flex and justify will be set to between, the items will be set to totally center, width totally full, and text totally left. Inside them we have to define our span with the class of font medium, and it's gonna say the price, and when somebody clicks on this button, you want to fire this function which is the toggle price drop down. Okay, drop down like so. Now let me just save my file, and now underneath this span we have to define that same icon, so I'll use like fi and then chevron or something like that, and we have to close that. And now I'm gonna provide the class names, and that class name will be totally dynamic, so I'm gonna pass like transform, and we are going to be rotating there if our price drop down is set to true. So in that situation we are going to be rotating them on the 180 degree. But if that's not the case, what do you want to do? You just want to set the to empty string. Now let me save there. Now underneath this button, what do you want to do? We just want to render if our price drop down state is true, then we want to show this UI. But if that's not the case, then we're not going to be showing nothing at all. I'm going to create a div with a class of margin for top of 2 and spaces on the y-axis of 2. Inside there, let's just create our data. So I'm going to create a few labels. So now inside this array, we're going to be defining a few objects. So I'm going to hit enter right here and also right here. I'm going to first of all provide my label, and for this label I'll just write like below $300, and here we also have to provide the minimum, and minimum will be set to 0 and the maximum will be set to 300. I'm going to save this file, and we are getting some sort of error, is not assignable to the type React node. You know what, we will take care of that in a few seconds, but first of all I'm going to make a few of them. So I'm going to duplicate there a few times, and here we have to change the 2 instead of a 3, starting from a 300 to 600, and also here we have to change that to 600. So I'll just change that to 6, and now I'm going to change the minimum value to like 300 and also the maximum value to 600, and for the maximum we have to change that to 600, and then here we have to provide the infinity. Now I'm going to iterate over through all of these items. So I'm going to use the map method, and here we have to provide the range, and now inside there what do you want to do? We just want to create our div, and this div will have the key, and the key will be range.label. I'm going to also provide the class names, and the class name will be set to flex, and items will be set to totally center. And when somebody clicks on there, we want to fire this function. So now let's just write the on click event handler. We want to fire this specific function which is a handle price range selection, and here we have to paste the range inside there. Now inside this div, what do you want to do? We just want to create our input field with the type of radio, and then this is going to be checked if our selected price range dot label, if I can type that today, dot label is equals to the range dot label. So in that situation, that's going to be checked. But if that's not the case, so it's not going to be checked. And when somebody try to change them, we're going to be firing this function, which is a handle selection, and here we have to provide the range inside there. I'm going to also provide the class name, and the class name will be set to margin for the right of 2. And now underneath this input field, we have to create our span. So I'll just write a span, and here we have to render our range dot label like so. I'm going to save my file right now. And now if I just refresh there, we are getting some sort of error. Obviously we would get some sort of error because we have to create these functions. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna copy the name of them and create this function. Or you know what, first of all, let's just create this function. So I'll just go to the top, and here I'm gonna be creating that function. So what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna just write like toggle price drop down, and here I'm gonna be using set price drop down and change that to not price drop down. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm gonna go to the bottom and create this function, which is a handle price range. I'm gonna go to the top once again, and here we're going to be creating that function, which is a const handle price range selection, and it's going to take the range, and that range will be a lot of range. Okay, so we are going to be placing the minimum value, and the minimum value will be set to number, the maximum value will be also set to number, and the label will be set to a string. You can also define a different interface for them, but in my case I'm not going to. If that's not the case, we are going to be passing a null value today. And now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to only use the set selected price range, not color but selected price range, and here we have to specify that range inside there. Now let me just save my file, and now if I click on there, and here you can see we're now getting the prices. So now I can choose the above 300, and starting from 300 to 600, and also above the 600. So yeah, you can also now filter these items by using the prices. That's done, so I'm gonna hide there. And now underneath this price filter, we're going to be defining our footer right here. Okay, so this can only allows us to clear out the filter. So I'm going to create a div with a class of pairing all around of 4, and border on the top, flex and justify will be set to between, and inside there we have to create a button, and it's going to say like clear all. When somebody clicks on this button, so we are going to be firing this clear filters function, and also I'm going to be passing a class names of background totally black, text totally white, and pairing for the x-axis of 4, pairing for the y-axis of 2, only rounded. So now if I save my file, now let me just click on there, and here you can see we're now getting this clear button. And you know what, I'm gonna remove this pairing on the x-axis, not the pairing on the x-axis, but I'm gonna provide like margin for the right of 2 or margin for the left of 2. Yeah, I guess that's gonna be fine. That's also done, so I'm gonna hide there. And now underneath this footer, we're going to be defining our background overlay right here. So now underneath there, we're going to be checking like if our sidebar is open. So in that situation, this overlay to there. So I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to provide a bit of class name to there, like it's going to be set to totally fixed, and the inset will be 0, background totally black, and the opacity will be set to 50, and the z index will be also set to 40. And when somebody clicks on there, we're going to be using the toggle sidebar function. It's going to just hide our sidebar, and it should be outside from these divs. So I'm going to place it right here, save my file, and here you can see this is how it looks like right here. So I can now choose them, and also I can totally close there, and here you can see it's going to hide there. So if I click on there, and if I click on the overlay, it's going to also hide my sidebar. So this is looking cool. Now finally, let's just implement those filters inside our app. So first of all, we are now getting these errors, so I'm going to just annotate them with the any, because we already completed the product. So now the next thing that we have to do is that we have to change this store to, not a store, but this data to, instead of using a JS, we have to convert it to the TS. Okay, so now let me just close there, and that's totally done. So now first thing first, what do you have to do? First of all, we are going to be importing, what do we call it, the use filter store. I'm going to copy the name of them, and we have to execute there right here. And the next thing that we have to do is that we have to destructure a few things from there. So I'm going to be using like the selected country. We would also have to destructure the selected color, and we would also have to destructure the selected price. And now let me just save my file. The next thing that we have to do is that we have to define a filter based on the selected data. So I'm going to use like data and then dot filter, and it's going to take the item, and now we're going to be annotating there with this product, and we're going to be defining this product in a few seconds. So now I'm going to go ahead and just start working on there. And you know what, let's just define this product. Okay, so I'm going to define that right here. So I'll create the interface, and this interface will be set to this product. It's going to take the ID, and the ID will be a string. The country will also be a string, and I'm going to also specify the image, and the image will be that, and we have to import that, and now we have to pass the string comma string inside there. Next, we are going to be also providing the price, and the price will be set to a number. Now that we successfully annotated there, now inside this filter, what do we have to do? I'm gonna first of all check if the item matches. So for that, we are going to be using like the select colors and then dot length. If the selected colors dot length is equals to 0, or the object dot keys, and here we have to specify the item dot image. And then we can use the sum method on there, and we also have to pass the colors inside there. And now we are going to be using the selected colors that includes that specific color. So now I'm gonna save there. I'm gonna also store that in some sort of a variable, so I'll use like match color, and it's gonna be equals to this matches color right here. That's the first thing that we have to do. Next, we also have to check like if the item matches the selected price range. So I'm gonna just go ahead and just write like match price or matches price, and it's gonna be equals to the selected price range. Come on, selected price range. So if that's the case, we are going to be checking once again. So if item dot, come on, not items but just item dot price is greater than or equal to the selected price range dot minimum, and the item dot, not items but just the item dot price is less than or equal to the selected price range dot max. So that's going to be the case. So if that's not the case, so we're going to be setting that to true. And now finally we have to return all of that. So I'll just use like return the matches color and matches price. Now I also forgot to include one more. So what do we have to do? We have to define the const matches country, and it's going to be equals to the selected countries dot length. Come on, length. If that's equal to 0, or the selected country dot includes the item dot country. Okay, so that's gonna be it for the matches country. I'm gonna copy the name of there, and I'm gonna also place it right here like so. Now I'm gonna go ahead and store there in the filtered data variable. So I'm gonna copy the name of there right now. Let me just copy there, go to the bottom, and instead of using the data, I'm gonna paste the filtered data right here. Okay, so now it's gonna filter our items based on this data. Now if I click on this sidebar, now I can choose different kind of filters. So if I click on the Japan, it's gonna only gives us all of that watches which are from the Japan. I can also choose like United States, China, India, and so on and so forth. Now I can also choose different colors. So if I choose like the black, it's gonna gives us all of that colors. Like here you can see this one is black, and this one will also have the black variant. So now let me just show you that. Here you can see this one is black, and also this one is black. So which means like it's gonna also gives us that specific color item. If I choose like the white, it also gives us white, because all of these watches have the white variant. Like if I show you there, here you can see we have the white variant right here, and so on and so forth. So if I just show you this one, here you can see this one also have the white variant. So that's also the colors one. Now if I go ahead and click on the prices, I can also choose like below the 300, and also I can choose the above 300, and also I can choose like above $600. Now I can select different kind of watches. And yeah, that was our final project of this course.